Welcome into Sportstime. Bryant and Brett with you in our family leisure studios on this Thursday afternoon. We're Sportstime. We're with you for the next 3 hours with a lot to get into as week one is finally here. The college football season kicked off Saturday with a handful of games of week 0, but tonight some really fun games. We'll have a couple games tomorrow and then really everything rolling on Saturday. So we'll talk about a lot of these games tonight, a lot of the games over the weekend, a lot of college football today throughout these next 3 hours. But, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Brian. You're right. We're with you until 6 o'clock, and that's right up to a kickoff for a lot of games and even a couple before that. And I've got an assignment for you and for our entire listening audience. Now, the assignment won't be cashed in until next week, but I want you to do something for me over the course of the next few days. Keep in mind that moment when it hits, that tingle, that excitement,
Yeah.
And it's full in your face. Yeah, college football's back. I want people to remember that moment and text us or call us next week about it. And you keep up with it yourself out there. And everybody for sure that we're back.
Oh man, it's a good feeling, and I'm sure. Probably Saturday for a lot of people. For a lot of people here locally, being out there at the Tigers game on Saturday against North Alabama. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, I know
down Tiger Lane to do it for.
Absolutely. And so it's going to be a lot of fun, but definitely a lot of people. That excitement seems like it's at that high right now with a lot of people's teams getting ready to play. I know a lot of Arkansas fans in the area. They'll go tonight on a Thursday night, but for a lot of other teams, we'll have to wait till Saturday and then really let the mayhem begin.
Yeah, and it will begin, and it could be. I'm trying to find out where Gus Johnson is this weekend.
Good question.
Because sometimes when he starts screaming in the fun way, that's when you really know.
Yeah, that's a good time when college football has begun.
Here's one that will be for a lot of people, and he didn't make the trip last week because of his age and just to be on the safe side. It'll be when game day rolls at 8 o'clock and Lee Corso's on that set, and then the helmet moment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, that kind of – almost the start of your day for college football is when he puts that headgear on. But you're right, with it being week one, with him not being there last week, that will definitely be for a lot of people that kind of unofficial start to the season.
Oh, here's where Gus Johnson, 11 o'clock Saturday morning, Morgantown,
that one.
Morgantown, WVA, Penn State, and West Virginia. With Joel Klatt on Fox, and that'll be that moment for a lot.
Oh, yeah, and that's going to be a fun game. I know that one's getting a little overlooked right now because of just some of the other games that are around that time. Obviously, Clemson and Georgia going, and then, obviously some really good games later in the day. And so that one's getting a little bit overlooked right now, but no, I'm excited for that one. That one should be fun. West Virginia was kind of the big surprise team out of the Big 12 last year, and then Penn State, what are they going to be in this 12-team college football playoff? We know consistently always a really, really good team. So that's going to be a fun one in Morgantown. I know they're going to be ready to rock up in WV.
Already growing a really big following and a lot of fans. Noah Eagle will be the play-by-play announcer for NBC with Todd Blackledge for the Fresno State-Michigan game.
Wow, how about that? I did not know that. So that's news to me, but that'll be a lot of fun. He was great with the Olympic coverage of basketball, and so it'll be fun to hear him. And like you said, he's becoming a massive rising star in the play-by-play game, and
on the Joe Davis trajectory.
Absolutely, and so I think will be really cool.
I butchered the pronunciation of trajectory, but
sure, but hey, absolutely. But
Thanks.
A lot of eyes will be on that game as well for Michigan with everything that's going on this offseason. Obviously, new head coach there, and new quarterback, a lot of new weapons. So that'll be a good one tomorrow night or Saturday night. Today feels like Friday.
It does. It all week has, and it feels really good.
It does, but no, I think, and it's because of all the college football tonight, but all day I've gotten confused about today being Friday. I think today's Friday. No, it's actually a Thursday. Some happened earlier today, and I was like, that's not right. Tomorrow's Saturday. And then I was like, no, tomorrow's Friday. So, I think that excitement, maybe for me at least, is already bubbling over.
Will really wig us out, and
really
everybody, a lot of people. But We've got a lot to talk about today, and we will deviate a little from all the college football talk as we always visit on the NBA, and I'm looking forward to that. Steph Curry got paid, didn't he?
Holy cow. What a kind of out of nowhere.
Sent too.
Absolutely, and that's, good for him and definitely worth it. anytime you can get a deal done with Steph Curry, you do it, you take that opportunity. And I think this is big for them because, I know we're going to talk about that with Keith Smith, but another thing is, we're about to see, we've been talking for a couple years of, maybe the dynasty starting to end. When's
Last
that dynasty
dance.
going to end? And now we're starting to see that transition from one era to a new era. And so to have Steph Curry as kind of that bridge from one era to the next, I know Brandon Podziemski is a guy that played well last year. His name was thrown out there a lot this offseason about maybe a guy that can be traded, and they really value him as a player. And so, I think being able to have him stay around, Steph Curry that being, is definitely huge and good for him. A nice payday for Steph Curry.
Who will be the last one there? And I'll ask Keith Smith this in about an hour or so. Who will be the last one there? Coach Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, or Steph Curry? Somebody's going to be the last man to cut the lights out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Coach Kerr, just because I think.
Do you?
I do. I think those guys will are close to being done with their careers. I think, and as long as those guys are there, I think Steve Kerr's going to be there, and I think they leave.
When they go, he goes.
Either that or they leave. He's still the guy, and then maybe things change, and he's out after that. I don't really know how it goes, but I would say, in my opinion, probably Steve Kerr, the last one to be there.
You think so, Brian? I must disagree. I think he will. I think he will be first before it really slides to him having to cut the lights out, because just like those players, he's won all you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And we know he can seamlessly go back to broadcasting.
Oh, for sure.
He came from there and was great.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good observation by you and a good idea because, we've seen this so many times where there's a coach who, good coach could be, a great coach, and they have great players, and those guys leave, and then a lot changes, and you're the last guy, and then all eyes are on you to replicate that again, and it's almost impossible to replicate what Golden State had. And so, for him to maybe jump out in front of that and say, look, I've done everything I want to do as a coach. I've reached the mountaintops. I'm going to step away and do something a little bit different. I think that would be a really smart idea for him.
But for Curry, it might be after having that great playing career, then that broadcasting career, and then this Hall of Fame coaching career. The next time he steps away, he may not want to run back to broadcast. This time he may say, you know what, I want to really, really retire.
So, sure.
And like get away. I got a much different circumstance. I got a friend of mine. She's been a U.S. magistrate for over 30 years, and she retired. And in her retirement statement, she said, I want to go back to just being Caroline and not being judge anymore.
I like that. Yeah. That's,
and Steve Kerr may,
sure.
I want to really, really get away. What is it? Southwest Airlines really get away at?
Right. Yeah.
He may, or
sure.
The itch may always be there.
Yeah,
and Draymond's going to go pretty seamlessly into broadcasting and doing something.
100%. I think, that's definitely kind of written already. But, no, it's going to be interesting to see because everyone's just so different with, how they want to go out and kind of when they want to be done doing, obviously, something they love. So, no, it's going to be fun. For it being August 29th, there's a lot of basketball news out there. So, definitely excited to talk to Keith Smith here in a little bit.
I think the greatest off-season NBA's ever enjoyed.
Yeah.
Right, we're not far from camps.
No, and I was reading something or listening to something earlier, and it said something about here in a month or so when we're having preseason games. I was like, whoa, preseason games? We're already there, and we're extremely close to seeing these guys in action.
And if it sounds like we're itching for the Grizzly season to get here, I know somebody right now, golly, you guys, man, you've been counting this football season down now. It gets here.
That's right,
we are, and especially for the real Grizzlies to be back because last year was just the throwaway year of all time.
Oh, yeah, it was just so terrible how it all played out with all the injuries. But now, seemingly everybody remains healthy this year, it could be another special season for the Grizzlies. But yeah, definitely excited to talk to Keith Smith here in a little less than an hour. Brett, we did get some news, and it's something that I think we all knew was coming. But earlier this afternoon, it was announced the SEC would implement the availability reports for not only football but also basketball and baseball,
men's and women's basketball.
Correct. What do you make of this decision by the SEC?
Thought it was coming. How can it not, especially now that we are awash in legal wagering?
Yeah.
We just are. So you want to get ahead of that. Now, Bryant, the skeptic in me, and I don't, that's not cynic. I said skeptic.
Sure.
There's a difference.
Absolutely.
It's just something else for us to fudge around.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's a... That's a good point. And
we have more rules and we stack more rules and more laws and more things on top of the old ones, and we don't follow any of the ones we already had.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But you're definitely right. I think the biggest thing is the legal gambling and how big that is in sports now. And so, I know there's a lot of people that are going to really rely on those when it comes to handicapping the SEC now going forward. I'll tell you this, and I'm glad you brought that up about maybe fudging a little bit, because I brought up a couple days ago this story with Charlotte football and Biff Poggi coming out in his press conference and saying they're going to have about 8 or 9 guys that'll probably miss Saturday's game with injury. I found yesterday there is a large part of the fan base, or at least a vocal part of the fan base at Charlotte, that thinks it's a little gamesmanship from Biff Poggi, that maybe there aren't a lot of injuries.
You're scaring me here with a couple of things. There's a large part of a fan base with Charlotte football.
Well, if you follow the right people on Twitter, if you're on the right Twitter pages, then yes.
And they think it's kind of rope-a-dope.
I think it's a little gamesmanship. I found I follow a page that covers Charlotte football and basketball, and I saw them post yesterday, and they put up a poll. Do you really think 8 or 9 guys are injured and going to miss this game against James Madison? And the answer is very simple, yes or no. So I was like, I want to see how everybody's voting. So I said yes. I think 8 or 9 guys. He said 8 or 9 guys are going to miss. I'm going to take him for his word. 72% of the voters said no. They do not think 8 or 9 guys will miss it. So who knows what's going on with Charlotte?
What's the premise of the head fake, of the rope-a-dope? Why Biff doing this?
The rivalry. It's not a big rivalry, but kind of in-state teams with James Madison.
And I bet he wants to make it
in Charlotte, and he does. He wants to kind of build that rivalry with several in-state teams, and so I think there's been a lot of talking going on.
JMU's not in-state, are they?
No, I'm sorry, not in-state, but they go back. They've been conference mates before, back in
and
FCS.
The former Memphis Tiger head coach that came from JMU was?
Oh, geez, bad question for me. I have no idea.
Rip Shearer.
That's right. Yes, I should. Oh, I'm gonna.
That's okay.
I'm gonna have to find a new house.
Well, y'all jumped on that Orioles Dodgers World Series question last night. Yeah. Beat me down.
How about that? I mean, when I feel good about one, it's just a gut feeling, Brett. You got to roll with it.
And Brian, the whole evolution, I've seen it in this market and in sports talk radio. Brian, you can't imagine how guarded we had to be from management, from legal, on watch what you say about handicapping, gambling, point spreads, betting. And in this market, there was almost no conversation about it until about 89 or 90, and then some very colorful figures came along, and it that kind of exploded, but then still scotched with, for news manner only, for news information only, if you're going to Vegas.
Sure.
I mean, and who was listening to the picks on Friday on Sports Talk Radio in Memphis? Hey, we got to go get on the plane, head to Vegas.
Right,
Nobody. They were betting with the local man, and we knew that. Everybody was conscious of that. To now, it's just unbridled, and the SEC adopting very much an NFL stance.
Yeah, it's fascinating when you look at it, because you're absolutely right. I mean, what used to be very much taboo of don't talk about this, don't even act like it doesn't exist, and now, I mean, it's the complete opposite. I mean, I remember when we talked about it, LeBron James is supposed to, I don't know if it's still happening, but during the NFL season, he's gonna, sponsored by DraftKings, is gonna give out bets for the NFL season. So, I mean, you've got active professional players giving out bets for different sports, and so it's become so big now that you got to see power conferences start doing this.
I've told the story. I'm still not going to give this man's name because I thought it was unfair then, but in the mid-'90s, I'm going to say 95, 96 season, this guy loved golf too. And one time we even rode from Fayetteville to Southern Hills in Tulsa to catch a Sunday round of the Tour Championship before it settled in permanent home at East Lake. Anyway, this was a great guy. But he bet on a lot of games and was and used to almost at every media spot in the press box was a telephone, a hardline telephone.
Okay.
And he was betting on that from the press box on that phone. The league found out about it. He not only was he barred, he was fired from his job in Northwest Arkansas.
Wow.
And and one time, the copy of the Square game, right?
Sure.
Well, all the squares.
Sure.
And I had what game was it? Maybe an SEC championship game with Tennessee and Auburn, and I had bought a square somewhere and got a copy made, and I had that out in the press box with me sitting in the press box at the Georgia Dome, and a nice friend of mine with SEC goes, I'd put that up.
Wow.
A $2 square game?
Wow. How about that?
I said, okay, well, I did.
Sure. Definitely. Wow, that's crazy.
Just imagine what's on some people's phones now. But legal.
Sure.
But legal.
Exactly. Because I was just about to say, you walk around, I've been in plenty of press boxes where I'm walking by and someone's got their, sports book of choice out, and betting, on something,
And now us, in a lot of media rooms, open conversation. What do you think? Do you have anything?
Absolutely.
You like this?
Yeah. It's crazy how much it is changed in really not that much time.
But they'll feel horrible about those injuries.
Absolutely. 100%. Nothing.
That's gonna be the biggest chicanery ever.
It might be what they want them to do, but yes, nothing is changing with the SEC. There's definitely going to be a lot of gamesmanship and fibbing in there. But we got a loaded show today, so let me go ahead and set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Bill Bender from the Sporting News will join us to talk college football. We'll get his thoughts on the Florida State-Georgia Tech game, and then we'll get his thoughts on a lot of games for this weekend. I know he's got a lot of thoughts. He had a story up, a really interesting story, kind of circulating around this Clemson-Georgia game today and talking about how we see a lot of these marquee games and a lot of teams want to play those marquee games, especially back with the BCS and with the 4-team college football playoff. But now with it expanded to 12, do these teams really need those games, and could we see teams try to avoid these games so they're not, kind of scrapped up after week one? So definitely interesting. I want to get his thoughts on that for sure. So we'll talk about college football at 3:30. 3:45, we'll get back to the wins and losses. In this segment, we'll do UTSA, Tulsa, and Tulane, so all teams from the American. 4 o'clock, we already mentioned it, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show will join us to talk the NBA. At 4:30, Patrick Garvin from Rivals will join us to talk Georgia. He's over there covering the Georgia Bulldogs for Rivals, so we'll get his thoughts on this big game on Saturday against Clemson, what he thinks about this Georgia team going into the season. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us like he always does, and plenty of Tiger news to talk about. We haven't talked to Greg since depth charts came out, so a lot of football news to discuss, but also basketball. Yesterday we learned the final non-conference game of the season, so plenty to discuss with Greg Gaston. We'll do that at 5 o'clock. At 5:30, we'll get back to the wins and losses. We'll do Arkansas, Tennessee, and Alabama at 5:30, and then we'll wrap up today's show like we always do at 5:45 with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over to Family Leisure for the world's biggest spa sale going on now at Family Leisure. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spa starting at $28.99. Cold plunges starting at $39.99. Swim spas starting at $17,499. And special financing, it's available at Family Leisure. Huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools, too, and all patio furniture. It's priced to move. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Brian. I'm Brett. We're Sportstime, and we are with you until 6 o'clock, right up to kickoff for a lot of places. We want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. As always, proud to be from our Family Leisure Studios. And every day this hour brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but they prefer for you to stop by and see them at the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day is the fact that it is game day in the college football world, and we've got some really good matchups tonight. The two biggest ones that everyone's been talking about are the two games starting at 7 o'clock. We've got Colorado hosting North Dakota State. Right now, Colorado, I think it's moved to a 10.5-point favorite against North Dakota State, and then also North Carolina and Minnesota on Fox. That game opened up with Minnesota being a favorite, I think 1 or 2 point favorite, and now North Carolina has become a 2-point favorite in that game. So those are going to be the two biggest games, but a lot of other games to keep an eye on. UCF, Arkansas, UAB, Tulane, those are a lot of the teams that I'll be keeping an eye on, even though they're playing FCS opponents. Now, I did see something interesting today. It's going to be something to watch tonight and moving forward for Tulane. A lot of people think Memphis, Tulane, UTSA, those are the three teams atop the American Athletic Conference. But Matt Zenitz reported earlier today that redshirt freshman Darian Mensah is set to be the starter for Tulane's season opener tonight versus Southeastern Louisiana, a source tells 247 Sports and CBS Sports. Now, this is a big deal because they picked up Oregon transfer Ty Thompson in the offseason, and ever since that pickup, everyone's been talking about Ty Thompson being the starting quarterback for Tulane. It goes on to say he impressed throughout the offseason and fall camp and now is in line to start. Has been competing with Oregon transfer Ty Thompson and Kai Horton, who we remember last year played against Ole Miss and looked really good in that matchup against the Rebels. But it does say at the very end, expect all three quarterbacks to play tonight against Southeast Louisiana. It's a practice game, but it'll be good to see all three of these stars because before today, I'll be honest, Darian Mensah didn't even know he was on Tulane's roster, and now he's going to be the starting quarterback. Yeah.
Nor did I. The announced team tonight for North Carolina at Minnesota, that on Fox, that's Jason Benetti, Brock Heward, and Allison Williams. Isn't Jason Benetti, doesn't he do local TV calling the White Sox games night in, night out?
He was up until last year. Now he's with the Detroit Tigers.
So he's on the Tiger broadcast with Kirk Gibson?
He is, yeah.
Who's the first voice on White Sox TV now with Steve Stone?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know his name. I know his voice, but I don't know his name.
Well, I thought it might be Jason Benetti, and boy, they'd want a break from calling the White Sox.
Oh man, yeah, he got away from it last year, and now's with theTigers, and Tigers are doing much better. White Sox are not doing anything.
My top story: opening day for the Razorbacks, opening night for the Razorbacks, opening night for the Missouri Tigers. Sam Pittman hired at Arkansas in the same coaching hiring cycle that Eli Drinkwitz was hired at Mizzou that same year. Lane Kiffin was hired at Ole Miss, and sadly also Coach Mike Leach was in that hiring class that year. What stands out? Two are in the college football playoff talk, and one is on the hottest of hot seats in all of college football. And the Razorbacks offered Lane, and they shied away from Eli Drinkwitz. Really, both were on a little bit of a radar, and that kind of only makes it worse for Razorback fans to see that. Then made worse for the Razorback fans, it was no Omahags. They're ready to be happy about something.
You are absolutely right about that. Maybe it comes this year.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, Brett, and maybe maybe I should save this to the end of the show. What happened to the love fest for Tommy Pham?
I don't know what happened.
He just got placed on waivers.
He did.
He did. Since we started our show, he has been placed on waivers. Katie Wu, the first I saw to report it on social media. Cardinals are placing Tommy Pham on waivers.
That was a quick love fest, wasn't it?
That was very quick from his home run in the first game.
A little bit longer than Sherry and Greg Allman, but not much.
Yeah, I mean, this is a shocker. But you were talking earlier before we got on air. We were talking to each other, and you were talking about you're watching the Cardinals game. Yeah. I haven't even thought about turning it on today. I am wearing my Cardinals hat. But
and I told you, I was watching going, maybe put it together today and string it. Isn't that sad?
It's very sad. But you also said that going out of an inning to a break, they did a wide shot of the stands at Busch Stadium, and all week has been awful.
The camera shot from the right field fair pole.
Yep.
And you could kind of see the whole panorama of the stat. I mean, it is nobody there.
It's sad to see not only what's happening on the field, but yes, when the fans respond like this for good reason.
All right now the traditional shot from behind the pitcher looking toward the catcher, and you see the green seats. More people in the green seats than in the rest of the stadium.
Oh no!
I'm serious.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
What happened? No. My top, is it me?
Yeah, it's you, yeah.
I got out of whack. My not top story, Tiger non-conference basketball schedule set. We will talk with Greg Gaston about that as well at 5. Dates are known, even some times are known, but it is a meat grinder. We know that. There will be a lot of speculation when we get closer to W's and L time for Tiger basketball. We're not doing that today. I'm not threatening anybody with that today.
Don't tempt me, Brett.
But just the kind of the blank 13 of what could they go. There's a lot of variance.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it could go really low. It could go really high. Now, I don't know if I broke any real news there. On a WNL, it could go real low. Well, I guess it could go 0-13. It could go 13-0.
Yeah, I guess
it's not going to be either one of those.
No.
Somewhere in between, though, and it's a lot of division.
Oh, absolutely. But you got to give Penny Hardaway a ton of credit for this non-conference schedule.
I'd take 8-5 right now and not play a deep game.
100%. I'm right there with you. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, we're talking some college football with Bill Bender.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Are you an oblivious person hogging the sidewalk like a large dying snail? Do people stuck behind you ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should go to Mattress Firm. They have tons of quality beds at every price. So anyone, even people like you, can sleep. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village.
Hi, it's the Herd. Whether you shower in the morning or at night, chances are you want to hop in right away instead of standing and waiting while your water heats up. My friends at Navien have your solution. Go tankless with a new Navien tankless water heater. You'll instantly get all the hot water you need as long as you need it. Right now, save hundreds on Navien tankless water heaters with local rebates. It's easy. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com. That's tanklessmadesimple.com.
Looking for an engagement ring that'll really knock your socks off? You need to be at Genesis Diamonds.
It's such a privilege at Genesis Diamonds for us to work with the world's finest designers, to be able to offer brands like Takori and Versace, and we're excited to be able to give you something really this time.
Genesis Vice President David Cooper.
The craftsmanship, the detail, the quality, the individuality is bar none anything else.
Genesis has been selected as an exclusive provider for every top designer from New York and California with over 4,000 names to choose from. And if that's not enough, they can create something that's truly one-of-a-kind.
Custom craft you literally anything you can imagine. We have the capabilities to realize any dream you have. Things that other stores may call new. We've been doing it for 3, 4, and 5 years already.
So don't settle for a mediocre style design.
You deserve. I'm David Cooper from Genesis Diamonds, and I'm excited to see you in the show.
It's extended.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is Bill Bender, National College Football writer for the Sporting News, and on Twitter X @Bill Bender. Here's Bill with Brian and Brett.
Bill Bender joins us now to talk some college football from the Sporting News. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. Last week when you joined us, we previewed the Florida State and Georgia Tech game, really the marquee game of Week 0, and Georgia Tech pulls the outright upset. What did you make of what you saw in that game from both sides, Georgia Tech and Florida State?
Georgia Tech won the battle up front. I mean, on both sides. And I think Florida State waited too long to throw the ball down the field and trust their quarterback, who they brought in to do just that. So, sometimes that happens in Week 0, as everybody's been talking about, that now it's a little bit different. It feels like a golf mulligan, whatever you want to call it. Now they just have to take care of business the rest of the year. So there's definitely a little more pressure on Florida State and Mike Norvell and DJU. I think DJU probably took the brunt of that, and I would say on some level unfairly so.
Bill, didn't it really crack open the ACC? We went all summer saying the throw the darts at the league was the Big 12. Are we throwing darts now at the ACC?
I think so because
that's
Georgia
fun.
Tech's in that mix. NC State's in that mix. Clemson, and it could get worse this
Virginia
weekend.
Tech.
Clemson, yeah, Virginia Tech and North Carolina, who plays tonight. If Clemson and Miami lose, then we're going to start to question the strength of the league. And that's what these non-conference games are still for. They are for the committee to use and sort out things later. So I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure of Clemson, maybe not to win the game, and I hate to pin a team to do that, to just say, hey, you just got to play well. Clemson doesn't want to hear that. But same with Miami. I mean, I think there's more pressure on Miami to beat Florida.
And Bill, with that, it almost folds perfectly into your good feature story this morning. Some feature stories, some columns are easier to write than others, but I think this one for you, it wrote itself a little bit, and you sure put your great touch on it with it. Maybe the end of these games that could cause a lot of speculation and uncertainty around the ACC this weekend.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and you get it's one of those things where you want to see good matchups in Week 1. You want to see, Texas A&M and Notre Dame. You want to see these neutral site matchups. I talked to Peach Bowl CEO Gary Stokan all about it. He had really good thoughts. It's like, we don't want to go back to the days of 35-0 against the directional school. Well, the bad news is 11 top 25 teams are playing FCS schools this weekend. So what are we doing there? I mean, I think they're taking the win where they can. I think we have 4 ranked teams in action tonight. And I think all of them are playing FCS schools. Kansas, NC State, Utah. I'm missing one, but you get the point, right? Like, we want to see good games.
Yeah, absolutely. And one good game that I think might be getting a little overlooked on Saturday, depending on who, and probably more down here because SEC country, but the 11 a.m. game on Fox, Penn State at West Virginia. West Virginia, maybe the surprise team last year with what they were able to do, and then Penn State, has been really, really good consistently under James Franklin. But the question is, what can they be in this new 12-team college football playoff? What do you expect to see in the 11 a.m. game on Fox?
Yeah, and a crazy, awesome, good environment.
Yeah.
In Morgantown. I mean, if they're talking about traffic jams now, yeah, they want that game. That's what
school canceled
about.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it because that's my part of the country here in like Southeast Ohio, Appalachia, that kind of thing. They haven't beat Penn State since 1988 when Major Harris was quarterback.
Wow.
So if they win that game, that rendition of Country Roads will mean a little something. And that's what college football is about to me. It's about the regional rivalry. It's about the gotta-have-it game. And, I still think, though, Penn State's lost exactly one game against a non-ranked opponent the last 3 years, and it took 9 overtimes for Illinois to do it. So I still think Penn State finds a way to go in there and take care of business.
Bill, I'm with you. I want these games, but I love Gary Stokin and what he and the Peach Bowl people and the Chick-fil-A people, what they've done, and the College Football Hall of Fame, what they've done for college football. And I want Gary to keep his game, but I want him on campus like this with this one with Penn State and West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And we got a couple of those the next 2 weeks. We got that one. We got Notre Dame A&M. That's going to be a lot of fun to see that atmosphere down in Texas. And then, of course, next week it leads up to the best game of the non-con season between Michigan and Texas, two teams that made the playoff last year. And, doing some early research on that, they played exactly one time. And that one time was one of the best Rose Bowls of all time. So super looking forward to that matchup. I still think we got to have them early in the season. And they got to mean something to the committee, not just to the winner, but I think to the loser on some level. If you're willing to step out and play in these games, yeah, you should be given the benefit of the doubt later.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned the Notre Dame and Texas A&M game. I'm really excited about that one, and I've heard a lot of people give their takes on it, and a lot of people trying to make picks on that. But you look at it, I'm kind of stuck. Texas A&M, Mike Elko coming in, his first game as the head coach at Texas A&M. On the other side, Marcus Freeman has done a good job with this Notre Dame team, and Riley Leonard comes in as their starting quarterback, and obviously the familiarity between Mike Elko and Riley Leonard there. What do you think we see in that game, and who do you think wins that one?
I still like Notre Dame.
Wow.
As long as Riley Leonard doesn't turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Freeman's in year 3, and he's played in these games. Now, granted, 2 and 3 on the road against ranked opponents. They've had some mishaps, like Louisville last year stands out as one of those moments. But I think their defense travels. Their defense brings back a lot of talent. I checked the weather. One of the few games of the weekend I actually checked the weather. 75 degrees, 86% humidity. Could it be hotter, is what I'm telling you. I don't think that's as hot as it could be in Texas.
Right. That's right. Y'all may have covered this last week. If you did, we'll move right along. But the expectations for Ohio State, is it win it all, or could they just at least get to the semifinals, the college, which would have been last year the college football playoffs, this year the Final Four?
Well, whatever combination you choose, it better include beating Michigan at least once, and especially in that first one in Columbus. So, I've had that question all summer where around here, not from shows, it's from parents, like in Columbus, like, do they have to beat Michigan, right? I'm like, well, what if you lose to Michigan, win the national title? Regardless, pressure on Ohio State, but I don't think they're feeling it. It was around Ryan Day, Big Ten Media Day, around their players. I think they're embracing that. We've got a pretty easy early season schedule. We'll find out, Brett, what we need to know about Ohio State when they go to Autzen Stadium on October 12th and play Oregon. That's that first, okay, the pressure's here on Will Howard and the 11 guys that stayed, and the incredibly talented roster that the Buckeyes have this season. But, Brett, I got one quick question. If we're all saying this, why didn't any of those guys on that ESPN panel on game day last week, not one picked Ohio State?
Yeah, that was alarming, and I think if a loss to Michigan and not in the finals, would Ross Bjork do something crazy?
I don't know. I mean, again, like, who are you going to get? That's what I
That's
always
right.
ask. Like, okay, now people will say somebody that beats Michigan. You know, that's what happened when they got Jim Tressel. And, you know, Urban Meyer, would they bring him, try to even hear in 5 seconds you'd be hearing, should Urban Meyer come out of retirement? Things like that.
Matt Vrabel's mine.
Vrabel's a good pick, right?
Mike Vrabel, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's been in the program and, you know, obviously has a lot of pride. Hasn't had a head coaching job at college level, but definitely understands the Michigan thing. So I think those are the things to keep in mind. But again, Ryan Day has a very good record. They are recruiting at a top level.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking to Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He joins us to talk some college football. Oh, sorry, Bill, you're going in and out a little bit. We still got you?
Hello?
Yeah, we're having some trouble with you. Just making sure we still got you. We lost you there for a second.
No.
You still with us, Bill? You're still going
yeah,
now. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, we got you now. You're really in and out bad. I'm curious on tonight's slate with the Colorado and North Dakota State game. We know, this Deion Sanders, the excitement he built last year and still has going into this season. What do you think this Colorado team is this year?
Well, we're going to find out tonight.
Yeah.
I still think they have a lot of first-round talent. Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and I talked to Deion 2 weeks ago. The expectations are that they want to get to a bowl game. They want to compete in the Big 12, and we'll see if they're able to do that. So I think we're going to overreact to all things Deion the first month of the season.
Of course.
And we'll see if they're able to last and push that into October.
When you had the conversation with him, was he in Coach Sanders mode or was he in primetime mode? Was it a nice conversation, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, our articles at Sporting News, he defended how they used the portal. He defended it was not combative, and a lot's been written about what's going on with him banning a reporter. I try to see both sides of that. And I know you got, Brett, I know you're a veteran of this game too. Like, on one hand, yeah, I'm always going to stick up for reporters when they're right. And I know Sean Keeler does a good job. On the other, if I'm the coach and somebody's writing things like that about me, my move would probably be to bring them in my office and say, hey, let's hash this out here behind closed doors. I'm not going to embarrass you in person.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are saying Deion has thin skin. I think he has thin skin in certain instances, but he's not afraid to call people out. So why, can you see both sides of that?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Bill, and we can remember a time, it's a long time ago, I won't say the week before the season started, but at some point in the summer, and especially at a lot of these smaller southern places, the coach may have the assembled media over last week of July and grill hamburgers at his house. And now nobody knows the coach like that.
No, those days are over, and it's very, media training is a thing and all of those things. Now, that doesn't mean you can't develop relationships with all the time. So I think, like I said, I see both sides, but we're going to overreact to all things beyond in September. I think they win could get interesting. Both want to know when they play Nebraska next week, because that'll be a fun throwback game.
Yeah, that one will be a really fun one. Well, Bill, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Hey, sorry about the technical difficulties there. I'm in some bad cell phone spots. You guys are the best. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks,
Bill. All good, Bill. Thank you. You be safe. Bill Bender with us from the Sporting News, and I would direct everybody to his story today about the Clemson-Georgia game and other big games like that played at a neutral site, even the cocktail party. I'm afraid, Bryant, when under the name of remodeling the stadium in Jacksonville, absence will not make the heart grow fonder. Once they take that to the respective campuses in the name of remodeling the stadium in Jacksonville, everybody will get real comfortable with it being there.
Oh, absolutely, and that's usually how it goes, right? And so, I think you're absolutely right.
And it will be sad to see, when the big neutral site game started, Jerry and Stephen Jones, they dreamed of 10 a year. Now they're very aspirational in everything they do, and it's never got close to that. And now they're going to be losing their big one with A&M and Arkansas. Bill Bender joined us on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. That's 901-360-8255. And Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the hometown teams like the Grizzlies and like the Tigers. And when we get back to FedEx Forum, the floor seat lounge at Memphis Grizzlies game, our friends from Sissy's Log Cabin, you can go back there and you can see the beautiful jewelry on display back there at all the home games. That great location at 4542 Poplar and Perkins in Laurelwood. Bill Jones, his team here to stay. Some blow in and out overnight. Not Sissy's Log Cabin. They're a part of the fabric of the community. And starting next week, every week on Monday, they'll bring us the look back at the SEC every Monday at 4:30. They with us all year long on the text and talk line, on the guest line, at SEC Media Days, at the golf tournament, looking back at the weekend in the SEC, and we sure appreciate it. 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood, and since 1970 with all the great locations across the Mid-South. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we got to get to some more wins and losses. This time, we'll get to UTSA, Tulsa, and Tulane. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Memphis, it's official. Crab King Seafood is where it's at. For the most flavored seafood and the biggest plates, run to a Crab King's near you. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. The price, the portions, the service is why Crab King's is number one. So don't be disappointed in seafood. Make the right choice the first time and every time. Make it Crab Kings. Crab Kings have only locally grown catfish. Come and devour tasty snow crabs, king crab, shrimp, salmon, catfish, calamari, and so much more. Enjoy Memphis's best tasting pasta with your choice of toppings. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. Crab Kings is open Wednesday through Sunday. Enjoy 50% off lunch portions and dollar fountain drinks. The number one name in Cajun seafood is Crab King Seafood, a Memphis favorite. Crab King, 7140 Stage Road. Kings with the Z.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. You'll find the lowest rates on Tuesday through Thursday afternoons. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
With all the uncertainty in the economy, the pre-election wobbles, is my money really safe? That's when I discovered the power of a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments. It's a tangible asset that can help protect your wealth when times get tough. And with Noble Gold Investments, it was so easy to roll over my existing IRA into a self-directed gold IRA. Their experts guided me through every step. I've diversified my retirement portfolio with something real. Don't wait for the election uncertainty to threaten your financial security. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Oh, and hear this. They're giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account. Just visit noblegoldinvestments.com now and use the promo code TRUMP. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Price does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer dock fee of $899.50, which are to be paid by the consumer. Silverado RG 377,592, MSRP 61065. Dealer discount $42.74. Factory rebate $47.50. Trade assistance $1,000. Must trade in 2010 or newer vehicle. Track stock number RC 246913. MSRP $23,395. Dealer discount $14.03. Expires 9/3/24.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack, Sportsworthy, and Brian Davis.
Well, Brett, we have a couple minutes left in this hour. We got to get some more wins and losses. We're going through the entire American and the SEC, but we're down to only a handful of teams left. So
this
we've been
does
going
it
through
for the
it
American.
all week. Yeah, this does it.
Except for the Tigers.
Right. So let's go ahead and start going through these teams. Let's start with UTSA, who has been getting a lot of, especially recently, a lot of hype in the American. I'll let you start. What do you have with UTSA?
And of these three AAC teams we go over today, the Tigers play two of the three, and both of those games they play will be on the road. They do not play Tulsa this year. We pick UTSA, Tulane, and Tulsa. I've got Texas San Antonio 8-4, 5-3 in the league. They start 2-0 over Kennesaw State and at Texas State. And at Texas State won't be easy, and that will be Texas State's Super Bowl kind of playing UTSA. Texas State could win the Sun Belt, and if crazy happened, could maybe possibly be the G5. They lose week 3 at Austin, and that's definitely Texas San Antonio Super Bowl going in and playing Hook'em. They beat Houston Christian, and then they lose at ECU. They lose at Rice. They defeat FAU and at Tulsa. They lose to the Tigers when the Tigers win in San Antonio, and they defeat North Texas, Temple, and Army to end the year. 8 up, 4 down, 5-3.
Wow, so we are extremely similar. I also have them 8-4, and I also only have them with I only have 2 conference losses, I think. I don't know how I got there. So I have them, I guess we'll find out. I have them 8-4. I have them beating Kennesaw State. Then I have back-to-back losses to Texas State and Texas. I have them winning against Houston Christian and East Carolina. And then I've got them rattling off 3 more wins at Rice, FAU, and at Tulsa. Then I have them losing to Memphis. I have them beating North Texas. I have them beating Temple. And I have them losing to Army. So 8 up, 4 down for UTSA.
We got there very differently, and I think if people have been following it this week, I don't know if anybody's been following at home and checking off Memphis wins, but we both have a lot of wins for the Tigers. And it's why tomorrow when we do Ole Miss in Memphis, since we both have a lot of wins for both of them, we're going to do most dangerous games because neither one of us have many losses. For Tulsa, I have 3-9, 1-7 in the league. My 3 wins, the opening night, that's tonight, and at Louisiana Tech and at Temple. Everything else, including in Jonesboro next week.
Wow, interesting. So I have Tulsa doing a little better this year. I have them 5-7 on the season. I've got them winning their first game. That game is tonight. And then I have them losing back-to-back games against Arkansas State and Oklahoma State. I have them beating La Tech. Then I have them losing at North Texas, have them beating Army, have them beating Temple on the road. I've got them losing at home against UTSA, losing at UAB, then back-to-back loss against East Carolina and USF, and then winning the final game of the season against FAU.
Now Tulane, I'm pulling for Tulane in every game this year except for when they play the Tigers on Thanksgiving night, and that's going to replace the Egg Bowl as Thanksgiving night college football watching. John Sumrall in his first year at Tulane after two very successful seasons at Troy. I have Tulane 9-3 and 6-2 winning tonight against Southeast Louisiana, playing all those quarterbacks. Look out next week against Kansas State, and that game is at Ullman, like Ole Miss was last year. And but for Michael Pratt's injury, Ole Miss was in big trouble most of that day. Kansas State better be on the lookout next week. But I have it as a loss. I have a loss at Norman against OU. They almost won out there a few years ago. I have them winning at Louisiana, winning over USF, at UAB, over Rice, at North Texas, at Charlotte, home against Temple, at Navy, and then losing on Thanksgiving night to the Memphis Tigers, 9-3 and 6-2, and that's not much of a step down for John Sumrall replacing Willie Fritz.
No, not at all. I have Tulane 10-2 on the season, so I'm very high on this Tulane team. This development I now know of with the quarterbacks does worry me a little bit because I really thought it was going to be Ty Thompson's job and they were going to roll with him, but maybe a good thing. I'm not positive yet. I guess we'll find out a little bit tonight. I have them 10-2. I have the only two losses being non-conference losses against Kansas State and at Oklahoma. If you can't tell, bro, I'm trying to talk very fast because, yes, that means I have Tulane beating Memphis in that game the final week of the regular season. Yes, I know that's coming.
Alumni office, call him.
Yes, it's coming. I already know. I have Memphis losing that game, a Thursday night game that will be built up very much so down in New Orleans.
Your parents should not allow leftovers for you at Thanksgiving.
Well, I'm sure that will probably be the case. But I do this, Brett, because I'm very superstitious. I want Memphis to win that game. And also, I have Memphis. I have those two teams playing in the AAC Conference Championship.
So that would be back down there then,
it would be back down there. But I have Memphis getting revenge in that second game and winning the American. So
I think I like how that finished. I didn't like how it started.
No. I don't think anybody liked how – I didn't like how it started, Brett. But they get there one way or the other. And maybe my superstitious because I picked – Tulane to win. Maybe that means Memphis will go out there and win that final game. But let's go ahead and wrap up this hour. And when we come back, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show, he'll join us to talk the NBA. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Getting engaged soon? Don't make her settle for one of those knockoff mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores. Get to Genesis Diamonds and get her that one-of-a-kind ring she really wants from a world-class designer. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis Diamonds has the rings on every woman's wish list. Truly handcrafted rings made in the USA from names like Tacori, Garagio, and dozens more. Not even allowed to sell these amazing brands when you can get them at Genesis. This is one amazing store owned by a former diamond wholesaler. Every diamond is straight from the cutter with rock bottom prices, and nothing's held back. They'll show you the inside secrets of the diamond business and teach you how to buy like a dealer buys. They can also explain the differences between natural and lab-grown diamonds, so you can buy with total confidence. We're lucky to have Genesis here, so check them out. Their beautiful showrooms with honorary permits extended. You won't thank me. Check them out online at genesisdiamonds.com.
If you own
own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text or just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. For retro cruiser styling packed with modern innovations, riders of all skill levels choose a Honda Rebel. Incredible motorcycles with a stripped-down style and a full package of features. Both the 300 and the 500 offer compact power inside a lightweight frame. Combined with a low slung seat, the Rebel is easy to start on. And with new colors for this year, they are impossible to ignore. Go to DeSoto Honda to check out the 2023 Honda Rebels. Cruisers with timeless style and performance to enjoy every second. Use the street as a racetrack with a long
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's picked up even more in the last few minutes with more volume trying to get out of Midtown. Here on 240 southbound at South Parkway, it's looking pretty good right now as you come off 240 onto 385 Billmore's Parkway. We've had to dodge a few showers out there a little bit earlier on Billmore's Parkway going outbound on into Collierville. Weiber's Jewelry, they're located at 7525 Highway 64. They are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us now to talk the NBA from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He joins us every single Thursday afternoon to talk some NBA basketball. And Keith, we got to start with the big news today out of the NBA. Steph Curry gets a 1-year, $62.6 million extension to remain with the Warriors. What'd you make of that news earlier today?
Yeah, not unsurprising. There was a lot of thought out there that Curry was probably going to go that route, and I think what's interesting is that now aligns him with everyone else on the roster, minus Buddy Hield, who has a player option on top of a very lightly guaranteed year, 4 years from now, which tells me the Warriors are kind of geared up here for. This is going to be about a 3-year run, and then we'll be ready for a pretty major reset.
For the rest of Steph Curry's career, whether it's with Golden State or not, will he just be 1-year hitches?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's got now these 3 years that he's got left with the Warriors. After that, we'll see if he even wants to continue to do it. He'll be 38 years old, I believe, by the time that year wraps up. So we're getting pretty close to, I think, him saying, yeah, I'm just about there anyway. So I think this is a chance for him to look at it and say, all right, yeah, how much longer do I want to do this for? And then also, where's the team at? Because he himself said, I want to say it was probably about a month or so ago now, because it was pre-Olympics, like, doesn't really want to play it out on a team that's struggling and a team that's not in the mix to be competitive and the like. So I think we're probably looking at him saying, all right, we've got enough here with what we can do over the next few years, and then we'll probably from there, it'll probably be, we'll take it as it comes.
If didn't the Players Association, didn't they collectively bargain a few years ago to have the veteran for the age to go up? Didn't it used to be 35?
Yeah, it used to be 35, yep. And then 2 CBAs ago, it jumped up to 38. So, which the running joke at the time was that was Chris Paul looking at himself and his buddies, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony saying, yeah, we got to bump that up because we're all still going to be playing. But in reality, it was the league looking at it and saying, hey, it used to be, because it used to be over 32. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, guys are now playing deep into their 30s. And they're not only are they playing deep into their 30s, these are not role players on minimum contracts. these are still superstar guys performing at all-star level. So that's part of why they changed it. I wouldn't be surprised if in another couple CBAs, if it bumps up to the over 40 rule. I think we're going to see with the advent of various training and medical advancements and the like, I think we're going to see players play longer and deeper into their careers, which is part of why we got spin into a whole different direction here, but why we're seeing some of the roster crunches going around in the league, because players are not aging out the way they used to. So that's leaving less roster spots, because we still have 2 rounds of the draft. Teams are still bringing in 60 new players a year that way, plus another handful of undrafted players. So when you have a bunch of guys in their mid to late 30s still hanging on the roster, it starts to get really tight for teams to fit everybody in.
Yeah. Keith, when you look at this Warriors team, I know this offseason, a lot of people talking about what they would do. They lose Clay, and they were kind of there in the mix with Paul George and Lauri Markkanen. And one name that was always floated out there, especially with those two, if they were going to get a trade done, was Brandon Podziemski, the young guy out of Santa Clara, who I thought played really well at times for Golden State last year. He talked in an interview earlier this week, and they asked him about that, kind of lingering throughout the offseason. He said that Golden State came to him, said that they were not going to trade him, that he's a priority for them. When you look at a young guy like Brandon Podziemski that already showed a little bit last year, he can play and he can be a difference maker. How important will he be for Golden State kind of going into the next couple of years, as it feels like they're starting to make that transition from one era to the next?
Yeah, huge. As we try to, kind of milk whatever we can get out of Curry and Green and Wiggins. Yeah. And we're probably, further down that road than I think anybody even thought, especially with Curry and Green. I think what we're looking at with Brandon Podziemski is he's going to be huge for them starting this season. I mean, he was big for them last year, but he's going to be really big for them this season. There was a thing that came out this week that the Warriors want him to take 8 to 10 3-pointers per game. Whoa. So they're basically saying, hey, we want you to play Klay Thompson's role on offense and then do all the other things you could do. He's a really good rebounder for his position and his size. He's a very good passer as well. So I think they're really looking forward to seeing even more out of him. And then you're absolutely right. After that, then you start to transition into, all right, let's say he can become a 15-point-per-game guy while he's playing next to Steph and with Wiggins still on the team and those guys. Then if that can turn into 20-plus, now all of a sudden the Warriors are in a better place than I think maybe they thought they would be. And that's how you have, if you want to extend these dynasties beyond, the run of the original players, you have to start nailing your draft picks. And it looks like the Warriors did with this one.
Keith, about an hour ago, we were talking about this Steph Curry contract, and we disagreed. So we'll ask you, you settle it. How do you think the exit order will go in Golden State? Who will be the last person to cut the lights out among these 3 people? Steph, Draymond, Steve Kerr.
I think it'll be Steph, for sure. I think what we'll see is there's a chance that this extension comes up and then he plays another year or two beyond that. If he can still be productive and play at a high level, there's no real reason. Draymond Green has already said he doesn't even know if he'll make it to the end of this current contract he's on, which has 2 years left in a player option. I could very easily see Draymond Green saying, all right, I'm done. I'm going to walk away into what's going to be a very lucrative media career, and I'm going to start the second phase. And then Steve Kerr, we'll see. I think Steve Kerr is probably looking at it kind of saying a little bit of, hey, let me go out with my guys here. But there's also a world where maybe the Warriors say, if things don't go so great, let's make a transition. I mean, in the Western Conference, you can make a very easy argument that there are 12 to 13 teams that can credibly say they may be playoff teams this next season. And that means that 5 of them can't be if you're going in with that many, up to 13. And if the Warriors are one of them that isn't, and then aren't again, maybe everybody starts looking at it saying, all right, I know the players have a couple years left, but maybe it's time to change the coach.
Interesting. I like that. See, yeah, I was kind of in the camp of Kerr would be the last one. But I think you bring up a really good point when it comes to Steph and more of those players' side. Keith, we've talked a lot this offseason about these new media rights deals with the NBA and especially Warner Brothers and kind of what has happened with them lately. You know, they're not in the mix. Then they have the opportunity to match. They go out and try to match with Amazon. The NBA says, no, we're going to remain with Amazon. Warner Brothers files a lawsuit against the NBA, and now the NBA has filed a motion to dismiss Warner Brothers' lawsuit. And basically, like I said, Warner Brothers is claiming they had the opportunity to match. They matched with Amazon, but now the NBA is kind of saying that, well, what Warner Brothers really did was try to take Amazon's and kind of morph it into their own, and that's not really matching it. That's more kind of countering, I guess you could say. What do you make of kind of now what we're seeing with the NBA trying to dismiss this lawsuit?
Yeah, it's as Andrew Brandt, who covers the NFL, is fond of saying in these situations on Twitter, there will be lawyers. So I'm going to kind of steal that from him a little bit here. And there's going to be a lot of lawyers. They're going to make an awful lot of money off billable hours on this one because it sounds like neither side is going to budge. Now, what's interesting is what this is going to lead to, with my understanding and having talked to some folks who understand the legal side of it better, is we are going to get into the discovery phase, and that means that all of these parties involved, including maybe even NBC and ESPN, who aren't really a part of this but are because they're partners, they're all going to have to start disclosing things like subscriber numbers and the real rating, nothing pumped up, all that stuff. Right. And I don't know that any of the partners involved want that, right? Because then all of a sudden, if they're saying, well, we have 300 million subscribers, and it comes out that you have 3 million, what are we doing here, right? And that's where things can get real sideways on them, but well beyond the NBA world. So my guess continues to be, it has been for some time now, is what's going to happen here is either somebody's going to look at it and they're going to agree with the NBA that, hey, you might have matched the money, Turner and Warner Brothers, but you didn't match the structure. Like you had to match all the deal terms, and you didn't, so you're out. Or if this goes a little further, you may get where either the NBA and maybe the other partners say, all right, let's pay these guys to go away. You know, let's pay them $100 million or $200 million, whatever it is, go away, and we're done with it. Or you may see them kind of come around and say, all right, you know what? Maybe we can carve out a fourth package that allows TNT to kind of keep the relationship with the NBA some way, and that's what happens. The challenge with that is they released kind of what the tentative plan looks like going forward with the new partners. There's not really a free day in there, so I'm not entirely sure how that would work out.
Keith, do you suspect some finessing of the numbers with ratings and streaming numbers?
100%. I think we see some of that stuff get pumped up, and I'm not saying anybody's doing anything, really wrong. I think it's just, it's kind of right, lies, damn lies, and statistics. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of taking your data and you're splitting it a bunch of different ways. And one of the ways I think they do that is they look at it and say, well, you streamed it, but did you stream it live, or did you stream the last 5 minutes, 5 seconds of a game? We're going to count that in there. Did that count as a stream when it was really the TNT sharing a clip on social media? And then with the ratings, we know there is a lot of ways they can kind of fudge the ratings, because it can be, all right, did you watch it? Did you watch it for 5 minutes? Did you watch it 2 days later on the DVR and all that sort of stuff? So I think that's where everybody's kind of doing a little bit of painting the rosiest picture as far as what their numbers look like.
Do you think anybody, whether it's Nielsen or anybody, really have down like bar viewing, sports bar watching?
Yeah, that part's always been tough. I know that came to light with the the NFL Sunday ticket lawsuit that has been going on. Was the idea of, hey, when you charge sports bars X It's because you're really charging them to then allow 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever it is, to watch on a given Sunday versus, this. Now, I don't know how much appointment viewing the NBA is on a Thursday night in the middle of January. How many people are like, got to get down to the bar to catch, Knicks Warriors? Like I'm not sure that happens the way it does with the NFL. And the NFL's big thing has always been, hey, like for me, I'm a Patriots fan in Orlando. If I wanted to see them for a good long time, half their games when they're in the middle of their major run were on national TV. But the other half, I had to have Sunday ticket to watch it. So I don't know that they have a great handle on just how many people are watching that way.
Yeah. Keith Smith joins us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He joins us every Thursday to talk the NBA. Ty Lue said earlier this week that Kawhi Leonard would be ready for training camp. This comes after Kawhi Leonard took himself out of Olympic play, kind of said he wanted to make sure he was good and healthy and ready for the NBA season. How important will his health be this year? I know a lot of excitement with the Clippers, their new arena and everything. How important will his health be, especially now that Paul George is gone?
Yeah, massive. They have no chance to be one of those teams that's in the fight for a playoff spot. If Kawhi can't give him, I'm going to say somewhere in the range of 60-plus games. Now, he's going to miss time. We know that. It's just whether that's going to be missing back-to-backs or that's going to be missing, a week or two because of something, hopefully not longer. He's going to miss time throughout the course of the season. But what this is really going to come down to for the Clippers is they need him and they need James Harden to play really well. Now, I think they did okay with the guys they added, getting Nick Batum back in the fold, adding Derek Jones Jr. They're trying to kind of replace Paul George with multiple guys. In the last, Terrence Mann to do a little bit more, maybe even a guy like Amir Coffey or somebody like that. But the reality is if Kawhi and James Harden aren't playing at all-star levels, the Clippers don't have a chance to be competitive. The West it's just too deep and just too full of good teams.
Keith, I think we ask you this every year at this time. Your Boston roots, your college football team's kind of BC, right?
Yeah. That's where I went. I'm a BC guy.
That's what I thought. Since you've been in Orlando so long, has it been any attraction to any of the Florida teams? And there's so many. I mean, even right there in Orlando with UCF, any attraction to any of the locals?
Yeah, I root for UCF. I want to see them do well. And then a lot of friends of the family, a lot of their kids have gone to UF in Florida, so I tend to like to see them do well. Also, FSU's a team that BC plays every year. Miami, they've had a long-standing rivalry with, so I'd prefer if they both somehow went 0-12. That would be nice. But
well, FSU's off to that start.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Well. Here's my fear as a BC guy. I was hoping maybe they'd get that win and BC would catch them sleeping on Monday. Now I think they're going to catch them angry instead. That may not turn out so well for my Eagles.
Boston College almost got them last year with a big frenzied comeback.
They did, yeah. It's this is for me this year is it's all about let Bill O'Brien get his stuff established, see if he can really stop.
Yeah.
Stop letting give the good talent out of the Northeast. Keep them home, right? Get them over to BC. Get it back to what it used to be. But yeah, I've long since with Boston College, I basically take the approach now of they're going to be pretty good once every 5-6 years, and then after that, as long as they make a bowl game, it was a successful season.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, last thing for you. We learned earlier this week, or I guess we got a brief trailer earlier this week for the new docuseries coming to Netflix, Starting Five. It's going to star LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Jimmy Butler, and Domantas Sabonis. It's going to follow all 5 of those guys through last season. Does this do anything for you? How do you think this will play out, kind of following those 5 guys through the 2023-24 season?
I am very cautiously excited for it. If it turns into just a whole bunch of their game highlights, I'll lose interest very quickly.
Right.
That part I've seen. I don't really care about that anymore. That's all now old news. If we're getting real like insights into practices and pregame and what are they doing off the court in their regular lives and like how are they building up for the season, any of the stuff we don't get to see regularly, that I eat that stuff up. There was a clip that the Phoenix Suns shared from draft night. It was about probably 5 or 6 minutes long, and it had the first night, them leading up to the trade that ultimately they traded back and they got Ryan Dunn, and then their second round trade to go up to get Oso Iguodala, and I ate it up. Hard Knocks, I'm not even a big NFL guy anymore, and I love Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
The off-season version they did with the Giants was incredible.
Oh, it was great.
We could get something like that in the NBA. I'd probably watch it 10 times over. That's how much I love that stuff.
Yeah, well, I hope we get something similar, more of a behind-the-scenes look with this series on Netflix. I'm pretty excited for it. But, Keith, as always, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you. Keith Smith with us every week talking the NBA. Two great places to enjoy great barbecue in town. New Collierville Commissary, Houston Levy and Poplar are the original in Germantown. And with the forecast of a little cooler weather, we are ready for that. We can get outside on the patio at Houston Levy and Poplar and enjoy that. And it's the perfect place for a big group to go watch the game tonight. If you're a big North Carolina group, there are a lot of North Carolina people around. Or Gophers, any Gophers out there. Perfect place to go would be the Commissary. That game's already been moved back an hour. Have you seen that, Bryant?
I did. I was just about to say that. So, yeah, a little weather in the area in Minnesota.
For the potential of lightning.
Oh,
potential.
Wow. See, I just thought there was already weather moving in there.
The
wow.
potential, maybe.
Wow.
It may be every day, but at the Commissary, you can enjoy that with that barbecue feast. Started out with appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos that they made famous. They created in the early 80s the smoked chicken wings. Fantastic. If you're craving an easier way to order, you want to get it and go back to your house tonight or during the weekend, you can text Commissary to 33733. The Memphis-style barbecue and ribs done the slow-cooked Memphis way. Dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich, all the sides, and perfect for tailgating. You can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack, all those sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, they've got it all. And then the dessert, save room. It's a challenge, but do so. You'll be glad you did for the delicious lemon icebox pie or the terrific banana pudding. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and in Germantown, those party areas, orders to go, catering, tailgating. Here's the number again, 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com. We're going to have that all weekend, I'm afraid, in this area, Bryant, with the forecast for Saturday. And we know game times are set when TV tells us.
For sure.
But I would much rather have an 11 o'clock game Saturday so you have all day and have that runway to potentially wait all day to get it in.
Oh, yeah.
Then wait till like 6 o'clock Saturday night like Ole Miss and the Tigers are going to do, because when you see that potential of lightning, it's not the game people stopping anymore necessarily for the safety of the fans. It's for the technicians and the TV people hooked up to all that.
Oh, absolutely. And I did not realize it was, and saying this as rain is starting to fall in front of me out the window. I didn't even know it was supposed to rain today. News to me. But you're right. I think you're going to see a lot of that. I remember, right when you started mentioning this, it immediately took me back to, I guess, a handful of years ago now when Memphis kicked off the season at Mississippi State. It was a 6 p.m. kickoff, and right there in the first quarter, a lot of weather came through. We had like a 2.5-hour rain delay.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago,
because
wasn't
of that. Yeah, it sure was. So a massive delay. I think they got things going about 8 or so, 8:30. Really late, and that was the game. Mississippi State really kind of rolled in that one. I think you're going to see a lot of that over the weekend, especially with some of the forecasts you're seeing, not only here but around the country.
And I know we have to be safe. There's not a university chancellor, board of trustees, AD. There's nobody. There's nobody that wants anybody harmed. But I will ask it again. All this summer, do you remember any stadium getting hit by lightning?
No. Not one.
I don't either.
No,
But we're not stopping these games over that. We're stopping it over the TV crew. And I think at some point, negotiated with the TV people. After an hour or 2 hours, okay, your crew,
sure.
they don't have to be hooked up to anything. We got to play. We got to go ahead and play the game.
Yeah, we
have to start without you.
You've seen that before too. I mean, I don't remember exactly
with the fixed shot.
Yeah, I think it was like Miami and Southern Miss or something like that. And they just had the kind of wide shots. They had 3 cameras. They would go from one to the other, and it was each camera had a third of the field. So it's people are going to get creative. But you're right. Very interesting to see this development in Minnesota.
Of course, I don't want anybody harmed.
Right? No, not at all. Not at all.
But I have asked this for years. I want somebody to tell me, even of a high school stadium, and I would say stadia are great lightning attractors, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All that aluminum, all that metal, Give me one time ever, boy, on June 17th, so-and-so stadium got hit in Ripley, Tennessee. Thank goodness we weren't at a game that night.
Yeah, no, you don't hear any of that, so... No, it's definitely
we're shutting it off for the TV people.
You're absolutely right. It's a really good point by you. But let's go ahead and get to another break, because when we come back, we're talking a whole lot of Georgia Bulldogs. Patrick Garvin, he joins us from Rivals to talk the Dogs and talk their big matchup this weekend against Clemson. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Yeah.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness. Exercise your right to look good.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
Hungry for that delicious smash burger flavor? Dyer's Cafe is the original smash burger since 1912 and still smashing burgers in Collierville's historic town square. Come out for their lunch specials Monday through Friday 11 to 2. Ask about their world-famous split dog and authentic Chicago or New York dog. Try the leaner side of Dyer's with a grilled chicken sandwich or freshly made salad. Also serving Lakes, Delta-raised catfish, Pasquale's tamales, and a customer favorite hand-breaded onion rings. Dyer's, serving world-famous burgers, dogs, and shakes in Collierville's historic town square.
The only thing more satisfying than a crisp fall day is a crisp fall day inside your cozy, spotless home. Right now, shop Labor Day savings on select cleaning essentials and exclusive brands from the Home Depot. Plus, with fast free delivery, you don't have to worry about running out of your favorite cleaners, paper products, trash bags, and more.
Summer sale at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. Get up to $11,000 off MSRP with royalty on your loaded 24 Sierra 1500 or choose new GMC Sierra 2500 heavy duty at $7,000 off MSRP. Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. We are professional brand.
This does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer dock fee of $899.50, which are to be paid by the consumer. Light duty RG $245,378 in transit. MSRP $90,475. Dealer discount $57.50. Factory rebate $27.50. Loyalty $2,500. Must own 2010 or newer Buick or GMC vehicle. Heavy duty RF $381,279 in transit. MSRP $97,330. Dealer discount $7,000. Expires 9/3/24.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. For nearly 2 decades, we've installed some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos
888-867-0303 or visit us online at BrianEllerRoofing.com.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in town Memphis.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Parkplace Center, Poplar in Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Highland Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's already starting to crank up at times out here in a couple of spots. Just give yourself extra travel time. Lots of radar, no doubt about that. No matter where you're going, especially down I-40 throughout Arkansas, headed out towards Forest City, you're going to see a lot more radar over the next 24, 48 hours. Please be careful. Make sure you got that seatbelt buckled up. Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64, your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, Patrick Garben. He covers the Georgia Bulldogs over at Rivals. Patrick, thanks so much for joining us. A lot of talk about this Georgia team and this dominance that they've had in both the SEC and in college football in recent years. What do you make of this installment of the Georgia Bulldogs?
Guys, appreciate you having me on, first off. Yeah, they're loaded again. Although a lot of guys off to the NFL, some guys even missing this game that weren't anticipated, perhaps missing, say, a month or so ago, won't be playing Saturday. But still, just a loaded team at pretty much every area. And, I can see why they're preseason number one.
Patrick, we picked Georgia yesterday, and Bryant and I, both of us jumped quickly at 12-0, didn't we, Bryant?
Yeah, absolutely.
And our producer, Darian Newsom, he picked 11-1. I don't really have any trouble with that either because it's just so very hard to go undefeated. It's going to be one or the other, and it's going to be 11-1 or 12-0, isn't it, Patrick?
I think so. If I may say, my pick, I do think Georgia will drop its first regular season game. I guess it'll be in 4 years since the 2020 season. You know, it's a hard schedule when you have to go at Alabama, at Texas, and at Ole Miss. And I think between at Texas and at Ole Miss, I think Georgia splits those two. I see Georgia going 11-1.
Covering Coach Kirby Smart, and he was born to coach the Georgia Bulldogs. He's now fully in that every end-of-year rat race that Coach Saban was in, not only roster, not only now with NIL and portal, but also the retention of assistant coaches. I think that as much as anything really beat down Coach Nick Saban. Are you seeing any tread off the tires of Kirby and replacing? Because he's going to have to replace Schumann soon.
Yeah, I mean, it comes with the territory, right? With these successful programs, all of a sudden other programs come calling, so these guys go off to get better jobs. But the one thing that Kirby has demonstrated, because Georgia's different. I mean, and it's not like other places. I mean, even from the media standpoint, we can tell you that the day that Kirby Smart arrived, I mean, there was just a different feeling over there in the facilities, right? I mean, there will be no comfortable, as he said at the time, and you could feel it over there. And I think it takes that type of assistant coach to work well in his system as well. And I think he's obviously got an eye for that talent, if you will, and he makes it work. So it's amazing how what he's been able to do.
Patrick, I love your content, your countdown in the summer, your countdown of players. And when you got to 34, you said basically the tweet was, "This is the easiest one to do." It's for Herschel Walker. Is Stetson Bennett next on easiest for Georgia fans to be so fond and in love with?
Yeah, I think from the modern day angle, especially if you consider, I mean, for the longest time, if you were to say what's Georgia's greatest players, Herschel, Charlie Trippey, Frank Sinkovich, all those guys, they played like 40 years ago and more, right? So I think a lot more. So with Stetson's career and now Brock Bowers' career, all of a sudden those two names are kicked around as, being on Georgia's Mount Rushmore, if you will. Personally, I have a list of like 12 guys that are my top Georgia players, because it's really hard for me to go down to like just 4, top 4, or even a top 10. And just 2 aside, I have both Stetson and Brock in my top dozen Georgia players of all time.
And you need that. You have to have somebody else come along for that modern generation, for the newer fans. You can't just be talking all the time about yesteryear, and now Georgia fans have a lot of players to choose from. Buck Ballou even said that to me one time. He said, we got to start talking about something other than my pass to Lindsey Scott.
Sure.
And they are.
Sure. Yeah. And, for the longest time, I mean, I think I've said it on your show, that Georgia was that team that just couldn't capture that top, the top, right? They had one of the best winning percentages and one of the best bowl records and best, numbers as far as getting guys in the NFL. But as far as getting that national title, or even playing for one until 2017, it just hadn't happened in 35 years. And now it's expected. I mean, if the 12-team playoff is good and all for Georgia fans, but if they're not playing for a title and winning it, there's going to be some disappointment.
Yeah. Well, this first game on Saturday against Clemson is going to be a big one. What do you expect to see from Georgia in this first matchup against the Tigers?
Well, I'm real curious about Georgia's run defense. They kind of took a step back last year after 4 straight years of just dominant run defense. Last year they took a step back, and teams were actually able to establish a run on them. I'm curious, especially because I think Clemson's offensive line is really good. I'm curious to see what. That's when looking at positions. That's what I'm looking at. But I think, the first thing that sticks out to me is something that I could have told you just when this game was first scheduled, is that Kirby Smart's just, it's remarkable the success he's had when being able to prepare for an opponent for more than a week. So we're talking season openers, games coming off open dates, and nearly all bowl post appearances. I mean, the record's pretty phenomenal. I mean, against the spread, he's 20-9 in that situation. And if you take out the COVID season, he's actually 19-5 against the spread with more than a week to prepare for an opponent. So
big game coach.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't 19-5 against the spread. I don't think that's a coincidence, really. I think there's something to it. And I like Georgia. That's kind of the one main reason. They've just had time, and Kirby brings it when he has time to prepare for a team. So, that's what I see out of the game.
Patrick, I like Georgia to cover that point spread too, but right around it. I mean, maybe 27-13. I think Vegas has got this one pegged really good. Will the early start, do you think that affect, both teams are going to start at the same time, but what you think it'll affect Georgia any? Are there fans? And I think they'll have a little more in the house than Clemson. I know the proximity.
Yeah, I think, that's another thing about Kirby Smart's teams. Although, there was a loss against South Carolina in the regular season in 2019. That was a noon game, I remember, in Athens. But you'll be able to tell, like with that game, you could tell Georgia was kind of lethargic in workouts. You'll be able to tell if Georgia's ready. But that, something like this, it's a big game. It's Clemson. It's been drilled in their heads. This was a one-time huge rivalry, right? When I was a kid and a big Georgia fan, Clemson was the most hated team on the schedule. Not Florida.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was a rivalry. So it's a big game. That's what it's in these kids' heads, not whether they play at noon or, midnight. I don't think it's really going to come into play.
I know Herschel didn't lose a single SEC game in college. I think he only lost 3 overall, and one of them to Clemson, wasn't it?
That's right. However, Clemson will tell you, although Georgia fans will say that he went 2-1 against Clemson, he never scored a touchdown against Clemson, which is true. He had a couple of 100-yard games of 3, but he'd never got in the end zone against the Tigers.
Pitt, Penn State, and Clemson, his 3 college losses, right?
Pitt, did you say Pitt?
Yes, Pitt, Penn State, and Clemson.
Penn State, the Sugar Bowls, and then Clemson in the 81 regular season.
Not a single SEC loss. Somebody tried doing that. I mean, Brian, that's how good the king of Wrightsville, Georgia was.
Wow. Oh, getting the ball 40 times a game too, for real. I mean, yeah.
And better on that 40th carry than he was on the 10th because everybody else was tired of tackling him.
Yeah, exactly. And guys were still sliding off of him. I tell you, it's just talking about Herschel. He's the one guy you can look at his videos from, 40 plus years ago, and you're like, that guy would still dominate now. A lot of those guys, you can't say that back then. You can just tell on size, speed. But Herschel was something else. He was something that college football hadn't seen at that point.
Patrick, you mentioned Georgia players on a Georgia Mount Rushmore, as Bryant could attest. I've got a Mount Rushmore for everything. Here's my Mount Rushmore of the greatest athletes ever in SEC. Herschel and Bo, 1 and 2, fight it out. But Bo did play professional baseball, but both certified. Track stars. Then David Palmer that played at Alabama, and then in the Wayback Machine, Tennessee fans, Alabama fans, Auburn fans will remember this name, Richmond Flowers, who was at Tennessee late 60s, early 70s. That's my 4 best athletes to ever play in the SEC.
Remind me about Flowers. The name's familiar, but
he track superstar from Montgomery. His dad was Attorney General of the state of Alabama, and he kind of wanted out of the state of Alabama cauldron at that time with all the kind of the racial, social strife that we had going on. Didn't want to go to Auburn, didn't want to go play for Coach Bryant, Alabama, went to Tennessee, and a super athlete. Didn't really make it. We didn't make it at all in the NFL. Gil Brandt drafted him with the Cowboys and thought he would be a Bob Hayes type, and it came up a little short, but he was a beautiful athlete. And then his son, Bill Flowers, was Eli Manning's go-to wide receiver at Ole Miss.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. No, that sounds like a great Mount Rushmore. You know, George Herschel was a track All-American at Georgia, as his sister Veronica, who was a year older. In fact, that helped Herschel come to Georgia.
If he had dedicated himself to just being a decathlete and participating in decathlon, he would have won that. He had been Rayford Johnson.
Oh yeah, he's one of those guys that as we see with politics, and then with MMA fighting before that, and
the luge.
I think he was in the ballet at some point. You know, he's one of those guys that he's going to try something and be passionate about. He's going to put as much into it, and he's able to succeed at a good number of those attempts. So.
Well, Patrick, this was a lot of fun having you on. Really excited for this game this weekend. Enjoy it, and let's do this again soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Thanks, Patrick.
Enjoy Atlanta, Patrick. Thank you.
All right. You guys take care.
You got it, man. Patrick Garvin with us talking Georgia football, and a real historian. He knows it, and he has watched it all. And now, Brian, have you heard of David Palmer at Alabama?
I have, yes, absolutely.
Okay. I promise you. Now, I'm joking when I say this. Don't try it. Especially now. Now David Palmer, unbelievably, 50-something years old.
Yeah.
So I sure wouldn't try it now. There was a time, I'm not kidding you, you could have put him on top of your house, dropped him off the house, and he'd have landed on his feet.
Oh, man, that's great.
Unbelievable athlete.
Wow.
And they had a little bit of the RPO stuff and the Wildcat stuff in his day. In fact, that Bama, Gene Stallings, Mal Moore broke it out with him. If he had more of that now, if he played now, he would have the ball in his hands all the time. No matter what new Chevy or pre-owned car you're looking for, our friends at All-Star Chevy, they have it on the lot or in the showroom in Olive Branch. All-Star Chevy's end of summer sale. It's going on right now. Together, let's drive what we really want to drive. Pick out 2 or 3 of those vehicles to test drive, and you can. And if you can't find it at All-Star, you can't find it anywhere. 20 to 30 new Silverados marked down as much as 12% to save you thousands. Every Tahoe you could want for road trips and tailgating, they have it. The pre-owned Ram trucks, the Silverados, Bronco, 4Runner, an Audi, Hyundai, and one sweet Corvette Stingray. It's the best week to get the most money on any vehicle you want to sell. Bring it to All-Star, even if you didn't buy it there, and you can get a big check today or first thing in the morning or anytime this weekend. Don't miss All-Star Chevy's end of summer sale going on right now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevy. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, we need to grab another break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Maybe, like me, you're not a morning person. Maybe you, like me, like to sleep in. That's why Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise East on Poplar both serve breakfast until they close at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There's no law that says you can't have the freshest, tastiest, all-around bestest breakfast in Memphis for lunch. Just head to either Sunrise location and proudly order yourself some eggs, some signature house-made square biscuits, or maybe even throw in a Bloody Mary. It's your breakfast. Have it when you want. And, of course, have it at Sunrise.
College football's officially back. Don't miss any of the action. Jump in at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's a full slate of games for week 1, and for all the newbies getting into the college spirit, here's something extra special. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. The code is HERD, H-E-R-D. That's code HERD for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Hey, Jason, the main man, Marshall, it's the Volkswagen Sandy Summer Sales event at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. And, buddy, I need the scoop.
Randy, don't pass this one by, my man. Take your pick, 2024 Taos SE or 2024 Jetta Sport, just $275 a month. And 2024 Atlas Peak Edition, $5,000 off or 0.9% APR for 60 months. And remember, at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike, no reasonable offer will be refused.
Remember, it's your choice, 2024 Taos SE or 2024 Jetta Sport, $275 a month. And 2024 Atlas Peak Edition's $5,000 off or 0.9% APR for 60 months. So ask for Jason, the main man, Marshall at Gossett Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike, or online at GossettVWMemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
There are jewelry stores, and then there's Genesis Diamonds, the cutting-edge industry leader, the pioneer. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and it's no secret that jewelry stores across America watch what Genesis is doing. Genesis was the first to offer a free lifetime warranty, the first to offer a 120% diamond upgrade guarantee, the first to offer aggressive long-term, zero-interest financing. And Genesis is always on the cutting edge of design and fashion. The styles other jewelers say are new and exciting were new and exciting for Genesis 3 or 4 years ago. Genesis has the fashion-forward brands other stores aren't even allowed to carry. It's no wonder you see jewelers from other stores going to Genesis to see what they're all about. For selection, quality, service, warranties, and guarantees, Genesis leads, others follow. So for diamonds, engagement rings, exclusive designer jewelry for any occasion, and luxury brand Lexus, don't compromise. Get to the jewelry that set the industry standards year after year. Get to Genesis Diamonds on It's extended.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number today comes from Major League Baseball, and if I had to be honest with myself, this will probably be one of the last baseball big numbers I have with college football starting and with the NFL
we got
starting
October
next
in
week.
baseball.
Exactly.
Baseball.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think until we get to the playoffs, my
Kinda
baseball
like me on the
big
Beamer
numbers.
machine.
Exactly. So my big number today is the number 47. In August, Spencer Arrighetti, the Astros pitcher, has 47 strikeouts while allowing 19 hits. In the modern era, the only other MLB rookie to have that many strikeouts while allowing so few hits in a calendar month is Kerry Wood in May of 1998 when he struck out 60 batters and only gave up 19
20 in
hits.
one game.
Yeah, it's incredible. So
yeah.
Spencer Arrighetti, young guy for the Astros. The Astros playing much better baseball, and he's been a factor for him.
Do you know the baseball name Steve Phillips used to be GM of the Mets?
Yeah, vaguely.
I think he's just great on
Sure.
anything, whether it's Sirius XM or MLB Network. Way back, I'm going to say deep into May when it looked like the Astros, new manager, Dusty out, kind of maybe at the end of it, he was, no, they'll get hot. They'll win it.
Oh, I love that.
They'll win that division.
Yeah.
And he stayed with it all year. My big number is 76. War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock is 76 years old. The Razorbacks opened it playing Abilene Christian in 1948. And after tonight against UAPB and sadly next September against Arkansas State, that'll probably do it for the Razorbacks in Little Rock, where they have an all-time winning record of 153, 62, and 4. That's 70%. But tonight and next September against Arkansas State, that's probably going to do it at War Memorial. And Brian, you'll get a kick out of this when I ask you, had you heard of David Palmer? So forever, the Arkansas big-name games were usually in Little Rock, like against USC or opening night against Stanford. A lot of Texas games would be played there. Some in Fayetteville as well, but a lot in Little Rock because it was bigger and it had lights. Fayetteville didn't.
Ah, yes. How about that? I love that. Gotta have lights in there, Brad. That's it's a big deal.
The lights deal was into the 80s or 90s at a lot of places.
Yeah, well, that's
Oxford included.
Wow. Yeah, my father has told me, used to you couldn't play games at night because no lights, and now it's just crazy to even imagine.
And you know what the standard kickoff time was before the onslaught of TV?
I have no clue.
1 o'clock.
Wow.
1 o'clock. That was everybody's kickoff time.
Interesting. So very different now. Everyone wants a night kickoff nowadays. But I'm really excited to see this Arkansas team tonight, what they can do against Pine Bluff. I think it's going to be one of those name your score games, but what does this offense look like? Are they humming? Are they, playing well together? Because, they've got some tough matchups coming up, and we know
we'll be able to tell.
Yeah,
regardless of the score.
Absolutely. You'll be able to watch that offense. Exactly. You'll be able to watch that offense. You'll be able to watch that defense and see really what this team looks like. But we need to get to another break and wrap up hour number 2. When we come back, we're talking Tigers with Greg Gaston.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg in East Memphis States. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ready to cook in only 15 minutes with good temperatures from below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between. Change your at-home cooking experience for life with our unmatched all-night wood-fired grill flavor that has our customers raving. Get more Big Green Egg and all our accessories at East Memphis Ace on the corner of South Flag Station and Colts Road.
The best I do's start with Sissy's Blue. Discover bridal jewelry worthy of your big day at Sissy's Log Cabin, along with our spectacular experience that comes with our promise of exceptional quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Experience our expansive selection when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Find your perfect engagement ring only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years. of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double dip peanuts, and then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant, and they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to, 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown, and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Hi, this is Jimmy Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We're celebrating 40 years in Memphis since opening our doors in 1984. And all of us at Corky's want to say a big thank you to Memphis and our loyal customers on our 40th anniversary, September 18th. To celebrate you, we are offering our world-famous regular barbecue pork sandwich for only 40 cents with any purchase. That's right, only 40 cents with any purchase. This offer is drive-through only, so don't miss out. Mark your calendars for September 18th. 40-cent regular barbecue pork sandwich at Corky's. Limit 4 per order.
Some of the best roof systems across the Mid-South. To the tens of thousands of clients we've served, we are honored. So many of you call our team at Brian Elder Roofing your roofers. Our team is dedicated to serving you and keeping your family safe, dry, and mold-free. The recent hailstorms have caused massive damage, and many of these will go unnoticed for years, even though the golf ball-sized hail we just experienced in the Mid-South compromises even the best-built roof system. Whether we find damage or not, your photos are securely stored for future reference. Call Brian Elder Roofing today for a total evaluation of your entire roof system free. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. Call me at 901-867-0303. That's 901-867-0303. Or visit us online at BrianElderRoofing.com.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. There's a couple of accidents still getting some attention out here. We've seen quite a bit of radar already this afternoon, and a lot of reports of it there on I-40 as you leave Shelby County, headed out into Fayette County, parts of I-40 over in Arkansas, headed out towards Forest City. We appreciate all the calls on that. Lots of radar for the next 24, 48 hours. Be careful. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Oh, yeah. From the Tiger sideline, it's Tiger Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us now to talk Tigers like he does every single Thursday afternoon, and there's so much to get to today. Obviously, we got to talk the football team, but also we have basketball news as well. So, Greg, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start on the football side. We got depth charts released earlier this week on Monday. I know a lot of people had takeaways from it. My biggest takeaway, though, was the running back. Sutton Smith listed as the first running back. Now, there was a big or there after his name beside Mario Anderson. Is it reading too much into it, seeing Sutton Smith and trying to take something away from that with him being named first? We've talked about in the past, we know how much this coaching staff really likes what Sutton Smith brings to the table. What did you make of that and the rest of the depth chart?
Well, good afternoon. First of all, it is great to talk about an actual game, which will take place Saturday. But, yeah, I think people are looking too much into it. We met with the coaches today. They expect Mario Anderson and Sutton Smith to split the reps. There's also Brandon Thomas, short down situations. They have another running back who came from UMass. He is a scat back, DeWosier. That's Greg DeWosier. He'll get some playing time as well. But I wouldn't look too much into the first one out there, and then it's Mario Anderson. They are both going to share the load.
How concerned are you? How concerned are they about the injury to Reggie Grimes?
They're not. They're not concerned. Good. To be honest with you, it's not a real. Has played better, and that they're ready to go. So now Jordan Hankins has told us he expects that he's going to be a big part of the team. Reggie's going to be a big part of this team, but for this first game, not listed too deep, not expecting a major impact. Again, he'll play, but there's no concern from this team. It's a whole different attitude. It doesn't seem like anything is bothering them. That's how confident they are in this team.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Did anything else jump out to you with that depth chart?
Not really. Jordan Hankins was talking about a number of players who's going to see playing time, and it's not just because they're playing a team that you would think they can handle pretty easily, but he has a lot of players in the rotation to keep guys fresh. It won't be probably as hot as it could be, but it's still going to be warm and humid. So there's always that factor that you want to get guys in there and give other guys some time to get some water and to relax a little bit before they get back into the game. So probably use a couple of dozen guys on defense.
Wow.
Offensively, we know the main cast of characters. There's a bunch of new offensive linemen, 3 new offensive linemen who will start in this particular game. But I would imagine you're going to see a number of different players for Memphis in this game.
Greg, that's one of the fun things about playing this kind of mismatch game that the Tigers are in against North Alabama is all the number of people, the players that have worked so very hard. They'll get to play Saturday night. The participation chart Sunday morning will be fun to look at. There might be 80 different players play.
It's funny because, and you probably know this, Brett, from talking to the guys down in Oxford, they don't want to admit that. They'll go in and say, listen, every game is the same. We going to win. We're not worried about getting guys in and getting them playing times or getting them reps. We know the guys we're going to play, and we're going to go in there, and that's the main focal point, and that's the way it should be. But as the game goes along and the game dictates what can happen, in other words, a big lead, which you certainly think that Memphis could get a big lead.
Yeah.
They beat this team 59-0 2 years ago. It's not the same cast of characters, but very similar. That they will, in turn, be able to get other players in there to get a taste. They're very concerned about the first game because tackling and doing things like that in practice and in camp is one thing. Going out there and tackling somebody that's not a teammate in a live situation, no matter if it's North Alabama or Alabama, is 2 different things. So he wants those guys to get out there and not only compete, but be able to do the fundamentals. Last year against Bethune, they won easily, but they made a bunch of mistakes, and it cost them a couple of scores by Bethune-Cookman, and they weren't happy about that. And I can tell you right now, they are not making any excuse. They said, listen, we have practiced since the spring, and then we had OTAs, and then we had camp. We haven't stopped all off season. So when we take the field on Saturday, we expect basically, and I'm putting words into their mouths, but they kind of alluded to it, that they should be ready to go in a well-oiled machine. There's going to be mistakes. They just hope they'll be limited. We saw them with a couple of the games that we saw in week 0. We saw those mistakes made by SMU. We saw, in turn, mistakes made by Nevada, which probably cost them the game in the fourth quarter. So mistakes are going to happen, and you iron them out for game 2. But they're not making excuses. If they make mistakes, they're not going to be happy about it. They think they should be able to play as close to perfection as they can.
The very credible and knowledgeable, familiar voice of Greg Gaston with us every Thursday, talking Tiger sports, football, basketball, every sport in the department. It's brought to you by Dyer's Hamburgers and Crab Kings. Greg, on Saturday, I'm going to mix metaphors a little bit. What's the pitch count for Seth Hennigan?
That's going to be interesting. I think into that fourth quarter, if they're doing the things they need to do, taking care of business, I think that's when probably you'll see the backup quarterback, and the backup quarterback for Memphis, who won that job in a good battle, is Harris Boyd. So he's game for a possession or two. But I think, and again, no matter what the score is going to be, it's going to roll into the fourth quarter.
Interesting. Greg, we've been talking about our wins and losses we're doing every team in the American, every team in the SEC. We've been going through it this week. I'm not sure if you've talked about that, if you are doing picks for the Tigers, but what do you predict this season? Everybody's been talking about the highs, the lows. Do you care to share what you have the Tigers going this year?
Yeah, we finally did that on our show last, and we didn't go through each one of the other teams in the American, but we kind of gave what we thought would be the end result. And Eli and I both actually agree that Memphis is going to go 10-2 and 7-1 in the conference, and we both have Memphis playing UTSA in the conference championship game. But my loss is different than his loss. We both have Memphis losing to Florida State, and I know, Brett, I'm not giving away a secret here, right? That
No.
you like their chances to win that game. I do like their chances to win the game, but I have them down for a loss in Tallahassee, and then I have them losing at South Florida. Eli has them losing at UTSA, and it's understandable. You could also say, well, we're going to pick them to lose at Tulane. I think it's going to be probably I don't want to say impossible. Nothing's impossible right now with this team and the expectations. But I think it's going to be extremely hard to win all three of those big road games in New Orleans, in San Antonio, and in Tampa. So I have them losing one, and I just think South Florida is on the rise. I think they got the right goals. They're putting their money where their mouth is. They got NIL money. In fact, the UTSA coach, Jeff Traylor, has compared USF and Memphis, two leaders in NIL money in the conference. I don't know how he has all that information, but that was his quote the other day. Pick them to lose at USF down at Raymond James in Tampa, and that's what I have for Memphis. But I think they will get to the promised land. They will reach the conference championship game, and I think they'll win.
Greg, it sounds like you're just kind of looking for a loss somewhere. It could be instead of South Florida, it could be Tulane, and instead of Tulane, it could be on the road somewhere else. We've done all the AAC teams, and if anybody has tracked it, I ain't got the Tigers losing a single game there. And I've talked for a while now, and let it go last week in an event, that the Tigers would pull the upset down in Tallahassee. I'm more scared of it now after the Georgia Tech loss than before. I just wanted Georgia Tech to scare them. I didn't want them to actually defeat them. It's just now it's kind of hard to believe that FSU would start 1-2, but I'm going to stay with it, and I'm going to stay with the 12-0. And that 12-0, it has to be 13-0. And please, everyone understand, I don't say this with any malice when I say it, but 12-0 and lose in the conference championship game, everybody knows the world we live in. You go from playoffs and maybe even a seed better than 12, you go to the Boca Raton Bowl.
If you're lucky. Yeah, it's a big drop-off. There's no question. People know what's at stake. They know what's at stake. And I think your point is spot on about Florida State. I think the same thing. There are some people that don't buy it, but I do. I think Florida State now, I guarantee it was an ornery Mike Norvell, and this team practiced pretty darn hard this week as they get ready for their next game Monday against Boston College. But doesn't mean that Memphis still can't go down there and win that football game. But yeah, it's a big drop off if you don't complete the deal. But asking for perfection is an awful big ask. I saw too many games last year where Memphis, in my opinion, was the superior team and had to pull it out on a last-minute drive, a final score, or a final stop on defense. Are they going to be that much improved defensively? That's going to be the question. Offensively, they're going to score against anybody. But defensively, Jordan Hankins' schemes, which are going to change depending on the opponent, new players that have joined this team, and some veteran guys that are back, including a Cormonte Hamilton, a leader like Chandler Martin, in the secondary like Greg Rubin. They're going to combine, hopefully, a very good defense. Then you probably worried about pulling one out of the hat in the final moment. But that's a big ask to do. And I was talking to Ryan Silverfield today. He was on our show, as you know, and we talked about winning on the road. Well, 2 years ago, Memphis was terrible on the road. Last year, the results were good. They won a lot on the road, but they didn't win in New Orleans. But those games that they won, hold it out against UAB. It was a game, at least at halftime. Hold it out in the last seconds against Charlotte. Hold it out in the last seconds against North Texas. They can't afford to have that happen. They need to take care of business where they feel good with about 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter that they got the game in hand. If that's the case, and they can do that every single week, again, which is a huge ask, then we're talking about the possibility of going undefeated with the exception of.
Greg, we still got you. Might have lost Greg there. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get back with him and see if we can get him back on with us.
You do that. We're talking about. There we go. We got you back, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay. You're breaking up just a little bit on us.
I moved. I'm sitting in my living room, so hopefully it's okay.
Oh, you sound good now. You talk about this defense. We've been talking about this defense. Earlier this week, Ryan Silverfield said that defensive back Cortland Marsh will likely be out for the rest of the season. And then today, or I guess it was yesterday, we saw that Taj Rael is now back with the team as he was a pickup in the offseason, and then he left the team because I've heard disciplinary reasons, I've heard lack of playing time available, but now he's back on the roster. What have you made of this situation in the secondary?
Well, Rael is back. He will not dress out for this game on Saturday. They obviously need some depth with the injury to Marsh. I've heard the same things you've heard. Nothing was divulged by the staff, but something happened obviously where he was let go, and he's back. So I would think that would be one of those deals where the coaching staff and the players all had that conversation to make sure that it was okay. And we'll see if he becomes a factor down the road. He was penciled in as possibly winning a starting job. So they have just brought a guy back that they thought they had in the fold, and for whatever that reason was, they ended up not having him. But you always are concerned about depth in the secondary. They really like the guys that they have. Now, remember last year it was Davian Ross, who they lost early to an injury. They need to stay healthy in that secondary, and I think they have some really good players. This A.J. Watts, I heard so glowingly today, so they expect a lot from that young man. He began as a running back for Memphis, and now in the secondary is a nut. These are hard hitters with speed, and that's what you want from your secondary.
Yeah, Greg, we're still having some issues.
Guys,
yep, there you are. Well, Greg, let's see if we can.
Storming outside. So
yeah, it is. Let's see if we can reconnect with you and try to get you back on.
Okay, sounds good.
You got it, Greg. Yes, it's been a challenge for Greg today, and I think it's because of the conditions out right now. There's a lot of lightning in there. Good thing we're not playing tonight, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. Yes,
it would be challenging. I'm looking at the forecast for Saturday night for the Tiger game, and there's a lot of chance of rain during the day, but at kickoff on Saturday night for the Tiger game, 6 p.m., 15% chance of rain. 7 p.m., 15% chance. I'm sorry, that's not correct. 45% at 6 p.m. and 20% at 7 p.m. on Saturday. So, get it to blow through and get out of here. I think we would be in good shape for Saturday night, or could be kind of dodging those conditions all day. But it looks pretty clear for the rest of Saturday night after about the 6 o'clock kick time.
Yeah, well, hopefully
that can change in the next 5 minutes.
Sure, and like we talked about earlier, hopefully, hopefully weather's not an issue, but I think you're going to see a lot of that across the country this week. And we got Greg back.
Yeah. Hey, Greg.
We sure are. We got Greg back, and hopefully we got a better connection. Kind of changing subjects a little bit. We talked a lot of football, but basketball, a lot of news coming out. And yesterday we learned the final non-con opponent for the Memphis Tigers going to be Ohio University, which, it might be another team some people might scoff at and go, okay, a MAC team that, wasn't at the top last year, but this is a team won 20 games last year, returns a lot of players, added some good pieces in the transfer portal. I think another tremendous non-conference opponent for Penny Hardaway and his staff.
By the way, it has not rained since the LBJ administration, Brett. So we needed this rain.
We sure did.
Yeah,
knocked me off the.
And we get it during your segment.
Yeah,
exactly. I think you're right, Brian. I think you're right on. Ohio is actually a very solid program. Probably will be the pick to win the MAC. So what Penny Hardaway is looking to do is to get good RPI teams. That's the. That's and it ended up being a story out there that wasn't broken by the school. The school is its schedule, but it will be Ohio. They had added Louisiana Tech a couple of weeks ago. And when you look at through, some people going, "Wow, Louisiana Tech, Ohio, 10, Alabama A&M to the program." They went out in decent programs that are willing to come here and play in Memphis, no return, and they end up getting a couple of teams, at least in Ohio's, I'm not sure about La Tech, but in Ohio's case, a good RPI. It's already a daunting non-conference schedule. You had to make it as attractive as far as the home schedule is concerned, so folks would want to go and buy season tickets. Yes, there's always the argument you should go to watch your team no matter who they're playing, but we know that's not always the case in this life of luxury when people can just watch it at home. So you want to make it as appealing as possible, and you get Missouri at home, you get Ole Miss at home, you get Mississippi State at home, and now you get a team that, again, they're not going to sell 1,000 tickets. People aren't going to run out there to the box office now over at the school of Ohio, but it's a lot better than some of the schools they could have had and some of the programs they could have had come in. So I think Penny, there's no argument, in my opinion, with Penny and what he has tried to do every single year with that schedule. And this year, again, right there, being a daunting task, that's what you have to do when you play in a conference that doesn't provide enough quality opponents to help you with the eye and eventually, hopefully, the return to the NCAA tournament and your seeding. You need to have good opponents in the non-conference, and you need to win those games.
Greg, there's not a single certifiable gimme on this schedule. They're going to win. The Tigers are going to win their fair share of non-conference games. But there's not, I don't want to name any names, but there's not some of the gimmies that everybody plays. This is brutal.
It really is. And you had the return games at Virginia and at Clemson. And last year they handled Virginia really easily. Clemson was a great game that went down to the wire. We don't know how good this Tigers team is going to be. We know the players. We've heard good things about them. We heard that there's great camaraderie and brotherhood between them all, but it doesn't mean that's going to equate into wins. You got to go to San Francisco and then on to Maui. You have to go out to UNLV for a standalone game. So last year was weird. It was an anomaly last year. You had a year in which you did some serious damage in a positive way, the non-conference portion of your schedule, and then fell apart during the conference. This time, you look at the challenges of the non-conference, which can really help in seeding, and then you think to yourself, come on, there's no way they're not winning the conference this year. So you have to look then at the big picture, the NCAA tournament, and to get a decent seed, you don't want to be – you have to do some damage in the non-conference portion of your schedule. So that's what Penny has set up. Now they're going to go out there and do it. But, again, this is a team that when they take the court for the first time, we're all going to learn about them because I don't think anybody other than Penny or the
Yeah, we absolutely
stay
will.
well down, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy Game 1 this weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Absolutely, guys. Take care.
Thanks,
Thank you, Greg. Greg Gaston with us every Thursday, and hope Saturday night is not the challenging weather it is right now out there. It is. Yeah. I mean, if you're worried about weather and lightning right now, we've got it in the area. Be safe, especially right here at rush hour, and be safe on Saturday. And I want everybody to be so, but I don't want too long a delay over potential.
Right, yeah, and that's the big thing. I mean, I was shocked, an hour ago when you brought it up. I'd already seen that game was delayed, but I did not know it was because of the possibility. I thought there was actually weather already there, and they were just saying, okay, it's already storming, it's going to be storming, let's go ahead and just delay this. But the fact that it's just potential, that's insane.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'd never play, we'd never do anything.
That's right, yes.
I know for tonight, for a game watching this weekend, for tailgating, anytime to have people over the long holiday weekend, start it with the people that have it down with the catering, and that is Jason's Deli. Whether you're dining in, getting it to go, or them delivering it to you, wholesome food forever. It's a family thing, and the foods there are good and good for you. Whatever group you have, 5 or 5,000, any meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, low delivery fees, same day and last minute orders welcomed. They excel when you don't think you have everything done just right, and they love feeding everybody out at the golf tournament. I know everybody at the golf tournament appreciated Jason Deli taking care of them one day for all the great volunteers. Healthy, first franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. It's all about choice at Jason's Deli, whether you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, or you like to build your own via the Build Your Own selection. You'll be delighted at Jason's Deli, any location. I promise there's one close to you over by MUS if you're in that area for high school football on Friday night. Poplar and Highland by the University of Memphis, down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova, and always online at jasonsdeli.com. And on the menu, the Mesa chicken salad, the chicken club salad, my favorite, the taco salad. And speaking of salads, in every location, they have that salad bar with over 30 items for you to choose from and prepare it however you would like. Catering anytime, anywhere, and complimentary free ice cream in all those great locations, like out in Cordova, down in Olive Branch, by the University of Memphis, and over on Ridgeway across from MUS. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Well, we've got another game that's being delayed because of the weather. This one, ACC Network, I believe, was supposed to be on. Western Carolina, NC State is being pushed back at least half an hour right now because of lightning in the area. So weather all over the place today, and it sounds like weather all over the place this weekend as well. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this weather.
Half-hour pushback, and then we kick off at midnight.
Exactly. That's how it usually goes. But let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we come back, we've got to get to more wins and losses. Arkansas, Tennessee, and Alabama. We'll get to those next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan loves her ring from Genesis Diamonds. It's a big symbol with the sun. That's exactly what we do. And then we dress up. The wedding band's got a fire.
As is, it's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Are you looking to save on gas? Well, we got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike with 41 in Beachy Highway and your new 2024 Kia Forte LXS. $199 a month, $37.99 to its signing. Or how about a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite with 0% APR available for 48 months? Or get 304 EPA estimated range for $389 a month, $49.99 to its signing. All 24-month lease. Plus, you always get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike or online 24/7 365 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Acquisition fee $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Forte RE 794066, MSRP 21820, EV9 R60 29603, MSRP 61035. Lease terms include all rebates and incentives, and PF 695 includes tax, title, license, registration, and fees. Must finance through Hyundai with approved credit. Valid through 8/31/24. Dealer stock only.
I'm with John Burgos from the world famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
I'm looking at a crash here on 55 northbound, just north of Shelby. It's got traffic slow here in South Memphis on 55 going northbound. That's going to affect that traffic that's coming up through there from South Haven here in the next few minutes. Still dodging some nasty rain showers out here. Just depends on where you are. Give yourself extra time. Still pretty heavy with that traffic flow and that volume on 40 East from Germantown Parkway all the way out into Fayette County. Weimer's Jewelry right here in Memphis specializes in bridal ring purchases. Go by and see them. Shop local. Save a ton of money at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to get to some more wins and losses. We'll knock out 3 more SEC teams, and that will just leave us with Memphis and Ole Miss for tomorrow. So we got to get to Arkansas, Tennessee, and Alabama in this segment. So let's start with the Hogs. They kick off their season tonight against Arkansas Pine Bluff. So, Brett, we'll start with you. Where do you have Sam Pittman and those Hogs?
I start with a win tonight over UAPB. It was a blowout a few years ago. I've got them winning next week, 11 o'clock in Stillwater against Mike Gundy's Oklahoma State Cowboys. So a 2-0 start, 3-0 start, defeating Trent Dilfer and UAB, and then losing down at Auburn to Hugh Freeze. Auburn put it on them in Fayetteville last year. Finally, the end of the game at Jerry's World that turned into a house of horrors for the Razorbacks through the years. In this game against Texas A&M, they lose that one. So 3-2 after 5. Upset win in Fayetteville over Tennessee. We're getting ready to do Tennessee in a few seconds. Then lose in Fayetteville against LSU. Win at Mississippi State. Lose in Fayetteville to Ole Miss, but they have only done that 2 times since Arkansas joined the SEC. Ole Miss beat them in 2000 and in 2008. That's it at Fayetteville. Lose in Fayetteville to Texas. Arkansas won that game a few years ago, non-conference in Fayetteville. Defeat Louisiana Tech, and kind of the annual loss now against Mizzou. 6-6, 2-6 in the league.
Wow.
And my 6 could change. I mean, instead of beating Tennessee, they pulled the upset in Arlington against Texas A&M. That could be the difference. They could beat Ole Miss in Fayetteville, but lose to Tennessee in Fayetteville.
Yeah, no, it definitely could. I'm a little lower on the Hogs this year. I have them 4-8 this season. I've got them beating Arkansas Pine Bluff, then losing to Oklahoma State, winning against UAB, then losing on the road against Auburn, losing in Arlington against Texas A&M, losing at home against Tennessee, losing against LSU at home, then beating Mississippi State on the road, losing to Ole Miss at home, losing to Texas at home, beating Louisiana Tech, and then losing to Missouri on the road. So 4-8, and they'll be looking for a new head coach at the end of the year.
They will be. If they're 4-8, there's no doubt about it. And the Tigers play Arkansas next year right now, still scheduled for Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. There could be some changes with that from the administrations to when the Tigers can have a full crowd. But right now they're going to play. I think they're going to play somewhere regardless. Yeah. And next year in the month of September, Arkansas, for that new coach, if you're right, they will play Arkansas State. Boy, that'd be a tough way for a new coach to start losing to ASU.
That'd be really bad.
Play in Memphis, scheduled right now to play in Memphis, and Notre Dame in Fayetteville. That's next year.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one. Yeah. It's not a great non-conference slate for Arkansas.
Tennessee this year, I got opening win against Chattanooga next week in a game that a lot of people will be interested in, and upset alert, I guess, for Tennessee. But they defeat NC State. They win over Kent State. They win in Norman to start 4-0, and then my upset loss in Fayetteville, and that sure could change. But sure. I'm going to go with it. Lost to the Razorbacks. They defeat Florida and Knoxville. They lose in Knoxville to Bama. They defeat Kentucky in Knoxville. The same with Mississippi State in Knoxville, and then lose to Georgia and win out over UTEP and Vandy. 9-3, 5-3, and Tennessee could be a lot better than that. I don't see lower than 9-3.
Yeah, I also have them 9-3, and I'm with you. I think they could be a lot better than that. It's just for me, and I'm excited to see what Nico can bring. But being a young quarterback in the SEC, I think he's got the moxie to do it. But I need to see it first. I also have Tennessee 9-3, a little bit different than you. I've got them beating Chattanooga in their first game. I have them losing in Charlotte against NC State. I think that would be a great game. That one could easily be flipped to a win. I actually had it a win and then started thinking about it more, turned it to a loss. But that could easily be a win. I've got them beating Kent State, got them beating Oklahoma, have them beating Arkansas and Florida. So they start the season 5-1 and could, I think, easily be 6-0 on the year. And then they lose to Alabama at home. They beat Kentucky, beat Mississippi State. They lose on the road to Georgia. They beat UTEP, and then they end the season beating Vanderbilt. So 9-3 should be a really fun season at Rocky Top.
We got there the same, some difference, and against Bama in Knoxville, they beat them there 2 years ago. Yeah. So going for 2 in a row at Neyland Stadium over Bama. Speaking of Bama, Kalen DeBoer, you want to be a head coach in the SEC? I'll replace Nick Saban. Great article yesterday at AL.com, and the premise of the story was, some people run toward a fire.
Yeah.
And they're not dissuaded by it. They're not intimidated by it. Well, he's running toward one.
Definitely.
You got to have some toughness about you. Go, yeah, I'll take that on. I'll be Nick Saban's replacement.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. I mean, it's not going to be easy. I mean, you turn on any radio station, you turn on any television channel, you read any stories, and everyone says, you got to watch that Alabama game no matter who they play week one, because it's going to be so weird to see somebody other than Nick Saban as the head coach on that sidelines. And so
last night at the coaches show.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
See, and that was Chris Stewart who was replacing Eli Gold and Kalen DeBoer.
So a lot of new there.
Who was replacing
Holy cow.
Nick Saban. So last night on Hey Coach, there was a lot of change. I've got Bama 11-1. No, that won't change. Them winning a lot won't change. My only loss at home against Georgia in Tuscaloosa on September 28th.
Wow.
And that could be different. Instead of there,
Certainly.
it could be in Baton Rouge and win against Georgia.
Yeah.
It could be lose in Norman, but I've got them 11-1.
I'm 10-2, and I'm the same way with you, and the same way we are both with Tennessee. This could easily be better. I have them. The only two losses I have Georgia, so we're similar on that. At home, I also have them losing on the road in Baton Rouge against LSU. Defense is definitely going to be the question mark, but you throw in what that environment is like down in Baton Rouge, that should be a big-time game. I mean, looking at what I have LSU, I have LSU 10-2 on the season with my second loss coming against Florida. So if I was right with my predictions, both of these teams would be one-loss teams going into that game, and so would definitely be a big-time game for both of them. Could easily change. I could easily see them beating LSU. I could see them beating Georgia as well at home, but I have them 10-2 right now.
That's everybody from the SEC and the AAC except for Ole Miss and the Tigers tomorrow. And we got a lot of wins for both.
Oh, yeah.
It's no hiding. I'm 11-1 on Ole Miss. I'm 12-0 on the Tigers. So tomorrow when we do that segment, it will be the scary games. Where are the landmines? Where are the slip ups coming from? And they could be out there, but both of them led by fourth year. All the parallels, similarities. Fourth year coaches doing almost miraculous jobs. And they both have veteran quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I don't remember when it was that you brought this up on air, but kind of the similarities to these two programs.
It's frightening.
I mean, it really is, and so you see a lot of that, and I think you look.
Just to have 11-1 and 12-0 talk.
It's incredible. And so, you see a lot of that. I think a lot of people very high on both these programs this season. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to talk about. It's going to be even funner to, on Saturday, watch both these teams compete for the first time this season.
It will. And tomorrow at 4:30, we will have our one that we're living with. We had the way too early. We had the too early. We had the early. Now we have the one that we're going with for our college football bracket this year. The first time we've had 12 teams. We have that, and I think people will like where I have Ole Miss and Memphis even in that.
Oh, all right. So yeah, it's for keeps tomorrow.
Collision course.
Oh man, Brett, don't even start with that. That would be incredible.
And no, not in the 5-12 game.
Oh, whoa!
Tomorrow at 4:30.
Wow. All right, you've built that up. I'm excited. I got to figure out. I have basically the bulk of my picks for our playoffs, but I got to figure out what I want to do with a couple teams. So I'm excited. A lot of predictions tomorrow, and we'll get a lot of picks tomorrow from our guests.
I'm Georgia, Texas, and SEC championship game. Okay. What's yours?
Mine, let's see. Mine would be Georgia, and it would be Georgia and Texas as well.
I'm Memphis Tulane with Memphis hosting an AAC game.
Yeah, and we've already I've already mentioned that for me. I'm Memphis Tulane with Tulane hosting that game in New Orleans.
Wouldn't that be some weekend? Championship week, conference championship weekend.
Jeez, yeah, no, that'd be a good time. But I like your championship game a whole lot better. It being here in Memphis than being down in New Orleans.
Have you picked a Liberty Bowl?
I have not. No.
I picked Auburn against Colorado.
I like that. And you've mentioned that a couple times. I would love that. And everyone's been talking. We'll get our first taste of what this Colorado team will be tonight with obviously a big time opponent in North Dakota State. So that would be a really fun one. I think a lot of people would really enjoy that.
Rob Fisher and I did an event together last week, and he picked a game that I think a lot of the Liberty Bowl people would really like, and it would be a popular game. He picked UCF and Gus Malzahn against Hugh Freeze and Auburn, and the back to the area where their high school careers got them on the way to big-time coaching success.
Certainly. No,
and they both have had
it.
If nothing else, just bring up that bank account. They've had it on the field, too. They've earned it.
Yeah, no, that would be another fun one. I think you feel pretty good about some of the teams that have been mentioned with the Liberty Bowl that you're going to get a pretty good one. How about this, Brett? Right as we get to our break, Brett McMurphy with a Brett bomb. Tonight's Alcorn State UAB kickoff pushed back to 7:30 p.m. Central Time due to lightning. So weather all over the place today.
Yeah, and we're so very sensitive to it.
Yeah, no, we definitely are. But definitely some good marquee games tonight as everything really getting kicked off on a Thursday night. A little different. Usually, you don't see this many games on a Thursday night with college football, but it definitely will be fun to watch. But we need to get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Building. They keep you moving.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa setting. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa sale might go on forever. Family Leisure, with and run at I-40. Family and fun come together.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway and Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli, it's wholesome food and no surprises.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is the big breaking news out of the NFL. Brandon Ayuk had not been at practice the last 2 days. He was seen, I think, yesterday at the beginning of practice, heading back to the building. And so people were a little worried. What did that mean? Does that mean anything? But literally, right when we went to break, the news broke. Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers reach a 4-year extension agreement for $120 million, according to Adam Schefter. So Brandon Ayuk, the 49ers, this situation that's been going on all offseason, it finally comes to a conclusion. Ayuk will remain a 49er. He'll get that extension he wanted and a nice payday at $120 million, with $76 million of that guaranteed. So definitely a good day for Brandon Ayuk, and for NFL fans, 49er fans, finally having some conclusion there is definitely good.
Champagne corks popping at Darian's house. When does Trent Williams' deal get done?
I think it gets done soon. I say probably within the next week or so. You probably get that done. They would like to get that done.
He'll play.
Certainly before week one. I keep forgetting how close we are to week one. I would say early next week we'll probably get some answers.
They're in the Monday night football game that week against Green Bay, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Aaron Rodgers back to the Bay Area. What I learned today is Shohei Ohtani bobblehead night and Mania. It was epic. It was worth it. He is the biggest star in the sport. 2 for 3 last night, 42nd home run. That's a real big, important number in Dodgerland. That was the great Jackie Robinson's number. He had 2 stolen bases last night to get to 42 stolen bases for the year. How about the 42-42 club? There's that number again of 42. 53,000 in attendance. His batting average, .295. That's 5th in the National League. He's 1st in home runs, 2nd in RBI, 2nd in stolen bases, and he's box office.
He absolutely is, and it's so much fun to watch. I hope all those fans were able to get their bobbleheads last night. Those lines were insane, but he's definitely playing the part for the LA Dodgers. What I could have done without today, the Tommy Pham mania in St. Louis when he was acquired at the deadline. I was told the resurgence that they just needed to bring him back. He was so great in the clubhouse. He was just going to rejuvenate this team. Then he goes out the first game.
He was Tommy Pham.
Well, but Brett, he hit a home run in the first game, and I was told, he's back. He's going to be massive for this team. And then we didn't hear another word from him until today when he was placed on waivers. I've never really been a big Tommy Pham guy, and it kind of really turned me off even more when a lot of people were trying to tell me at the deadline that he was the answer at the deadline. He very clearly was not, and now the Cardinals have put him on waivers.
I said it's the deadline. If he's the answer, then we got more problems than you can fix. We want one simple answer.
That's right.
I knew better than all that. Could have done without the golf. The Super Bowl of golf began today really in anonymity at East Lake. The crowds were pretty good there, but around the sports world in anonymity. I know it crossed into college football season this year because of the Olympics, and it won't next year. It won't have the crossover. But some serious examination needs to be made on the playoffs around golf, both for the first leg in Memphis and the BMW, and for what's supposed to be the culmination of the year, the Tour Championship.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I was tuned in a little bit to that earlier today, but you're right. And you make a good point of next year we won't have to worry about all of this hype around week one of college football. But still, how much more will people be talking?
Feel like playoffs, did it?
Yeah, how much more of the spotlight will it be in next year, even when it's not in the shadows of college football? I thought a good day. I really enjoyed watching it. It looks like Scotty's going to run away with it with that lead that he was given But you're right. If we want this to be the playoffs, you talked about it yesterday with live from. I mean, where are we live from? I mean, they are nowhere to be found on the Golf Channel. They should be there. They should be at all these playoff spots. We should make this. If we want this to be the culmination,
they got to make us
the
care.
Season. Exactly. They've got to put in that effort to make it the big product that they want it to be, and they just haven't done that yet. And I think you're seeing that this weekend at East Lake. Where are you beaming tonight?
Well, I was going to North Carolina at Minnesota, but might be delayed there. PJ Fleck hosting Mac Brown on campus at the University of Minnesota. They went outdoors on campus a few years ago. They played last year for the first time with North Carolina winning. May be a conference game soon, since North Carolina, I think, is the number one choice for both the SEC and the Big Ten on the next round of realignment.
Wow, yeah, so that's going to be a big one. Beam me to North Dakota State and Colorado tonight, the big ESPN game. I've heard a lot of people talking about this. North Dakota State has been the most bet-on team to cover in Week 1 against North Dakota State. I think that line opened about 8 or 8.5. It's now moved all the way to 10.5. And on the other side, North Dakota State is 6-1 straight up, 7-0 against the spread versus FBS opponents since 2011. So it's going to be interesting to watch. A lot of questions about what this Colorado team will look like. And certainly in terms of playing FBS opponents, there's no bigger test than facing NDSU and what they've kind of become as that FCS powerhouse.
Sadly, probably the next to last time the Razorbacks will ever play at War Memorial in Little Rock. Also, that game you were just talking about, Coach Soft time at home against the Bison, Buffaloes versus Bison, Buffaloes plural versus Bison singular. Shedeur Sanders is enough to blow this team out tonight by himself.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll blast North Dakota. In baseball, Kansas City and Houston in Minute Maid, and O's at Dodgers again tonight at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, some good Major League Baseball games, like you mentioned, tonight on tap. Being a Thursday, more of a limited schedule as it's travel day for a lot of teams.
Cardinals win.
Games. Cardinals get a win.
Back to 500?
Look at us. I mean, you mentioned earlier, you were kind of watching that game going, well,
Feeling
maybe
good.
if this goes this way and that goes that way. So a win's fun, but I don't think
28 games left.
Well, I think
Go
you're
20-8.
I can't get on with that, Brett. I'm sorry, I can't. But it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. All the college football, the Major League Baseball, plenty to keep an eye on.
Fight song Friday tomorrow.
Oh, man, we are back, Brett. We are so back. It's going to be so much fun tomorrow. Everybody enjoy your night, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.